Chapter 806. The starry sky was vast and boundless. Between the Chilean astral and the Peacock astral, there was a star domain called the Star Desert Sea. That was because the area within a radius of thousands of kilometers was filled with fragments of fragmentary stars, making it look like an interstellar desert. Compared to it, the dust world's fragmentary star zone paled in comparison. This star desert sea did not belong to the Chilean astral realm or the Peacock astral realm. It was a land without a master. At the same time, it was also a buffer zone between the two astral realms. The star desert sea was a unique galaxy. Legend has it that this was an ancient battlefield before the Sanskrit world was formed. There was a special place in the star desert ocean. Even ordinary divine senses would be blocked. Even rebirth realm cultivators would get lost here if they did not rely on magic treasures. Even if you had a star chart, it would be impossible without coordinates and a route to refer to. This was the only way to reach the Peacock world from the South Kiran star region. That is, unless you pass through the entire Chilean astral to the other side and enter the Peacock world from another star field. However, that route was too long. Therefore, cultivators from the southern Unicorn star region to the Peacock star domain would basically choose to traverse through the Star Desert Sea. If one looked at the Star Desert Sea from the perspective of the Great Wisdom world, it would be a long and narrow black and yellow star domain. At that moment, Fallen Peacock was already standing at the edge of the Star Desert Sea. She stood quietly in a black dress. The corners of Fallen Star's mouth curled up as she looked at the Star Desert Sea. That smile was somewhat strange and inexplicable. These 2 days, she didn't walk very fast, and she even kept track of the time. If someone from a Chilean cloud world came, there should be enough time, right? The Star Desert Sea was the best battlefield. If the Chilean clan wanted to stop her, the Star Desert Sea was the best choice. Chilean clan, who will come and die? A cold look flashed across Fallen Star's eyes. Then, she took a step forward and entered the star zone of the Desert Sea. She wanted to kill the Venerable One. Smoke and dust rose in all directions, and it was hazy. Within the Star Desert Sea, Fallen Star did not summon any Dharma treasures. However, her body emitted a 5-colored brilliance. The brilliance was just like the Peacock King's 5-color divine light. Nothing could stop him as he moved forward. For the average cultivator, the Desert Star Ocean might be filled with all sorts of dangers. However, for Starfall, those dangers were non-existent. The star chart, coordinates, and route were all in her mind. She couldn't be more familiar with everything here. 4 hours later, Fallen Star was completely deep into the Star Desert Sea. The surroundings were pitch black and vacant. Fallen Star didn't stop and headed straight for the Peacock Astral. If her journey to the Peacock Star was uneventful, and she arrived at the Peacock Star unscathed, then, even if she overestimated the Southern Unicorn Duke or the Chilean clan. However, was the title of revered Lotus enough to scare the Southern Duke? Fallen Star was still in disbelief. The 3 great demon clans each had their own pride. She understood that the reason why the Southern Scale Duke wanted her to leave was because he was worried that she would destroy the entire planet. In reality, if the Southland Duke really wanted to stop her, she was indeed prepared to do so. Therefore, the Southland Duke was an intelligent person. Fallen Star's body shone brightly. She walked through the Star Desert Sea like a 5-colored shooting star. She did not hide her whereabouts at all. Instead, she shone quite brightly. She wanted to let the cultivators of the Chilean clan see her. Whoosh! The Star Desert Ocean was not an ocean. However, as Starfall advanced, the countless floating continents parted like ocean waves. It was a shocking scene. The might of a supremacy was incomparable. However, Fallen Star's path was blocked. The person she was waiting for had appeared. A few miles away stood a cultivator. Beneath his feet was a ball of fiery, auspicious clouds. It was a middle-aged male cultivator. He wore a bright red robe and looked like a ball of fire. He was tall and had an upright appearance. The cultivator had a smile on his face as he waited for the stars to descend. In the distance, Fallen Star stopped in her tracks and looked at the middle-aged cultivator. The two of them stood in the air. Turbid waves surged in front of them. Everything within a radius of several miles was stirred up by the auras of the two people. The two supremacies stood in the star desert sea like two gods. Fallen Star, long time no see. The middle-aged cultivator narrowed his eyes and looked at Fallen Star with a faint smile. Long Ban Lin. Fallen Star looked at the middle-aged cultivator and narrowed her eyes. The Qilin Cloud Realm actually sent you. What? Long Ban Lin smiled. Can I come? Actually, I still hope for a pure-blooded Qilin. Fallen Star smiled faintly. It'll be easier to kill that way, and you're only half a Qilin. Hee hee. Long Ban Lin couldn't help but laugh. Fallen Star, I don't quite understand. You are now in charge of divine Peafowl Mountain and the Venerable Queen. The entire Peacock Astral is under your control. Was this not enough? Why are you invading my Qilin Astral Realm? Offend your Qilin Astral Realm. Fallen Star sneered. I'm just carrying out Venerable Lotus's orders. Venerable Lotus, I will do whatever you want me to do. It's your Qilin clan that has made Venerable Lotus unhappy. Lotus Zune? Huh. Long Ban Lin laughed. Xing Luo, do you think I'll believe you? Whether you believe me or not is your business. What does it have to do with me? Xing Luo said. Sigh. Fallen Star? Long Ban Lin looked at Fallen Star, shook his head, and sighed. You're still you. Actually, I know your ambition. You want to control the entire Sanskrit world. However, do you have enough power to support your ambitions? Why use Venerable Lotus's name? If Venerable Lotus knew about this, would he spare you? You're just testing the Qilin clan's attitude, aren't you? Long Ban Lin stared at Fallen Star, his eyes penetrating. He had interacted with Fallen Star many times in the past. In the entire Qilin clan, the cultivator who understood Fallen Star the best was Long Ban Lin. He knew that Fallen Star was very dangerous. Her ambition far surpassed that of the Peacock King of yesteryear. However, Fallen Star probably did not have the power to suppress everything. In Long Ban Lin's opinion, all of this was too hasty, and he might even lose everything. Fallen Star was like a gambler. Huh. Fallen Star looked at Long Ban Lin and smiled. Long Ban Lin, you keep mentioning the Qilin clan. However, don't forget that you don't have a pure Qilin bloodline. Although you've become a venerable, you're still just a hired thug for the Qilin clan. Hired thug. Long Ban Lin laughed. If you say I'm a hired thug, then I'm a hired thug. The blood of the Qilin clan flows in my veins. My mother is a Qilin, so I'm a member of the Qilin clan. Venerable One, do you really care about your reputation? Fallen Star, how can you improve with your current state of mind? Long Ban Lin smiled. I'm stopping you today for no other reason. I don't care what kind of ambition you have. However, Long Ban Lin's expression turned cold. The red cloud under his feet rumbled. You can kill my clansmen, but you can't. Even if Venerable Lotus wants to kill me, you must give me a good reason. Otherwise, what's the point of us becoming Venerable Ones? If Sumo were to hear Long Ban Lin's words, she would surely praise him greatly. It was indeed the case. No one was anyone's puppet, and no one needed to humble themselves for anyone. How could you kill someone so easily? As a Venerable One, I have to protect my clansmen. Whoosh! Long Ban Lin had already made his move. With a wave of his hand, countless red lightning bolts lit up the sky within 100 li, striking a Fallen Star like fiery dragons. Chapter 807. The red light was like lightning, and the star domain was like the sea. Long Ban Lin's first move was an indiscriminate magical attack. The might of the Venerable One was completely revealed. Countless red lights seemed to build a sea of fire in the sea of stars. Fallen Star frowned when she saw this. Long Ban Lin was the only cultivator of the Qilin clan who wasn't a Qilin sovereign. One had to know that there were only 5 supremacies in the entire Qilin astral boundary, and the other 4 were all Qilins. However, even though Long Ban Lin didn't have a pure Qilin bloodline, his father was of the dragon bloodline. Thus, his name was Long Ban Lin. He was ranked 3rd among the Qilin Venerable Ones. In front of him were the Qilin clan's 2 divine kings. 3rd layer Venerable Realm. In terms of cultivation level, he should be above Fallen Star. After all, he had already become a venerable 5 million years ago. Aside from Divine King Qilin, Long Banlin was probably the opponent Fallen Star didn't want to face the most. It was not only because he had the Banlin bloodline, but also because Long Banlin was an extremely righteous person. He had never participated in the Qilin clan's management affairs. However, just as he said, he was willing to fight for the Qilin clan. Long Banlin was once called the Cloud War God by the Qilin astral boundary. In fact, Fallen Star knew that Long Banlin's words were meant to dissuade her. Of course, Fallen Star wouldn't listen to him. Since the Qilin astral realm had sent a venerable to kill her, she had to kill them, even if that cultivator was Long Banlin. Who? When he looked again, Fallen Star's body suddenly shone with five-colored light. The five-color divine light was a bloodline secret technique of the peacock race. The five colors represented the five elements: green, yellow, red, white, and black. Once the five lights scattered, they could melt everything. Countless bolts of lightning struck down, but Fallen Star remained unmoved in the void. With her as the center, the five-color divine light spread out, directly causing Long Banlin's red lightning to disappear. In an instant, five lights rippled in the star desert sea. Just a moment ago, Long Banlin's world had become Starfall's home turf. Seeing this, Long Banlin smiled meaningfully. Looks like you really are Fallen Star. Oh, Fallen Star was stunned. Why? Do you still doubt me? The Peacock clan only has 3 venerables right now. One of them is you, and the other 2 are the Peacock clan supreme elders. Previously, I was a little puzzled. You're a king, so why would you personally come to the Qilin star boundary? However, the five-color divine light of the Peacock race cannot be faked. Long Banlin said, even if supremacies of other races can transform into Starfall, they definitely won't be able to use the five-colored divine light. Looks like your Peacock clan has made up their mind. I don't know why you're doing this, but Fallen Star, you'll regret everything you've done. I won't let you have your way. Regret? Fallen Star suddenly laughed. I never regret. Long Banlin, you won't be able to return to the Qilin cloud realm today. Vermilion Plume, divine light. Fallen Star shouted as she took the initiative to attack. Who? Hua. The five-color divine light of Starfall suddenly took shape. In an instant, the five-color divine feathers that filled the sky shot toward Long Banlin like five-colored flying swords. Each of the five-color divine rays contained the power of the Martial Highness realm. This was similar to Long Banlin's Dharma art. Even in the cultivation world, a battle between Martial Highnesses was a battle between immortals. Long Banlin's pupils shrank when he saw this. Fallen Star was using an authentic peacock celestial art. He would be in trouble if even one of the five-colored flying swords hit him. Long Banlin knew that each of the rays actually contained the peacock poison. He was also a Martial Highness, so there was no way he could resist the poison. However, Long Banlin was no ordinary person either. Otherwise, he would not have come to kill Fallen Star. However, he did not expect it to be Fallen Star before he came. Fallen Star was at the 3rd level of the Rebirth realm. This was somewhat unexpected. After all, Fallen Star had only become a Martial Highness a million years ago. She had advanced 2 levels in a million years. This was extremely rare in the Martial Highness realm. It seemed that Fallen Star really did have the support of the Lotus Supremacy. In a battle of the same level, it would depend on whose spells and treasures were more refined. Long Banlin had absolute confidence in these things. Open. Long Banlin parted his hands, and the red clouds beneath his feet suddenly dispersed. The red clouds seemed to be floating in the air, but in an instant, they formed a protective barrier in the universe. Whoosh boom! Thousands of peacock feathers landed on the fiery cloud barrier and instantly turned into smoke. All of the attacks were blocked. The 2 of them were evenly matched in terms of spells. Dragon Form, Devour. Long Banlin blocked Fallen Star's attack and performed a hand seal at the same time. Behind him, a blood-colored dragon whizzed out from his back. It was a dragon soul. It was Long Banlin's unique summoning technique. His dragon soul was a real dragon soul, not just a figment of its own. It originated from his biological father. In a battle between Martial Highnesses, Every spell was a shocking one. Therefore, Long Bamlin used a secret technique right from the start. After all, ordinary spells were useless against Starfall. Only the highest level of magic would be able to kill him. Fallen Star had the same thought. Her goal was simple. She wanted to kill Long Bamlin. After all, Long Bamlin was important enough. Once Long Bamlin died, her plan would definitely come true. Long Bamlin's status in the Chelan clan was comparable to that of the Chelan king. Dragon Soul. Fallen Star's lips curled into a smile when she saw Long Bamlin's Dragon Soul. It seemed that Long Bamlin wanted to end the battle quickly. After all, a battle to kill a martial highness was enough to incite a war between two demon clans. The Desert Star Ocean was a zone of death. The advantage of fighting here was that no one would know about it. That being said, that was relative. If a battle between martial highnesses was fully unleashed, even this galaxy might not be able to handle it. Therefore, Long Bamlin wanted to end the battle quickly to avoid any complications. Interestingly, Fallen Star had the same idea as him. In fact, she was even more eager than Long Bamlin. Both of them were very confident. A strange look flashed across Fallen Star's eyes as soon as the Dragon Soul appeared. When she looked again, she gently touched the space between her eyebrows. Roar! A white dragon whizzed out of Fallen Star's forehead. Dragon Soul against Dragon Soul. Long Bamlin's Dragon Soul was originally quite shocked. The Fire Dragon Soul was 700 to 800 meters long. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, its aura extremely strong. After all, dragons were fundamentally more powerful than Cheelants and peacocks. However, as soon as Fallen Star's white dragon appeared, the red dragon froze in midair. Dragons were divided into different levels. The fire dragon was just an ordinary dragon. The white dragon was definitely the king of the dragons. At that moment, Long Bamlin was dumbfounded. At the same time, the depths of his soul trembled. The impact of the white dragon soul on him was too great. Half of Long Bamlin's blood was from the dragon clan. It was a form of bloodline suppression. Long Bamlin could not believe his eyes. The white dragon was over 3,000 meters long. Its claws were like clouds, and its entire body was shrouded in mist. It was just a dragon soul, but its aura was even more powerful than that of a true dragon. How could the peacocks have such a powerful dragon soul? Who was supporting them? Long Bamlin could not believe what he was seeing. He was filled with questions. However, he did not have time to analyze the situation. Roar! The white dragon roared into the sky, its voice shaking the entire Desert Star Ocean. At the same time, it opened its huge mouth and swallowed Long Bamlin's Fire Dragon Soul. They were not on the same level at all. Chapter 808. The demonic arc flew through the galaxy. Sumo, Yi Wuhui, and the others had already reached the periphery of the Star Desert Sea. Sumo will reach the Peacock Astral after crossing the Star Desert Sea. Yi Wuhui said. Sumo nodded. This is a good place to kill. I think that right now, the Star Desert Sea is already filled with killing intent. With that, Sumo gazed at the Star Desert Sea, his eyes turning black. Everything was reflected in her demonic eyes. Fallen Star and Long Bamlin were fighting. As expected, Sumo said. Who is Fallen Star fighting? Yi Wuhui asked. Whoosh! Sumo waved a hand, and a water mirror appeared on the demonic arc. At the same time, the demonic arc leaped forward and charged into the Star Desert Sea. However, Sumo stopped the demonic arc at the edge of the Star Desert Sea and did not go deeper. 1,000,000 miles away, they watched the battle with the help of the water mirror. Demonic Shadow. Is that Cultivator? Sumo asked. Long Bamlin, the Chelan war god. He has the bloodline of a half-dragon and half-Chelan. I didn't expect him to be at the third stage, Venerable Realm. The Desolation Shadow had been hiding in Yi Wuhui's shadow and did not show itself. It only spoke. Looks like the monster race has more Venerable Realm cultivators after not returning to the Prajnar realm for millions of years. Long Bamlin. Sumo nodded. At that moment, Long Bamlin was summoning the Fire Dragon Soul. In Sumo's eyes, a single dragon soul was not that rare. However, Fallen Star's reaction made his expression change, because he saw the white dragon. Sumo, what kind of dragon soul is that? Yi Wuhui asked. Oceanic white dragon, Sumo said in a deep voice. At that moment, Sumo was even more certain of her judgment. The female cultivator in black was not Fallen Star, because it was impossible for Fallen Star to have the soul of the oceanic white dragon. However, Sumo was a little confused. How could the Azure Sea white dragon be in Fallen Star's hands? This was a top-tier divine beast that only ancient vast seas could tame. Hua. After the white dragon swallowed the fire dragon, it circled around Fallen Star. Starfall didn't dare to land on the white dragon. The oceanic white dragon stared at Long Banlin. Although it was only a dragon soul, it was enough to make Long Banlin feel uneasy. Fallen Star, did the Lotus Supremacy give you this? Long Banlin did not know the oceanic white dragon, so his first guess was that it was the Lotus Supremacy. Hee. Fallen Star laughed coldly. Perhaps you should ask the Lotus Supremacy about this. I thought you guys didn't believe me? Roar. Fallen Star waved her hand, and the white dragon roared at the sky again. Dragon roar to the 9 heavens. The dragon's voice reverberated throughout the entire Star Desert Sea. However, Fallen Star didn't summon her dragon soul again. She knew that even though the white dragon soul was powerful, it alone couldn't defeat Long Banlin. After all, Long Banlin was a venerable. Even though Izong was weaker than the venerables of the 3 realms, a dragon soul could only disturb Long Banlin's mind. The oceanic white dragon could swallow the fire dragon soul, but it couldn't swallow Long Banlin. Fallen Star, if that's the case, don't blame me for being heartless. Long Banlin took a deep breath. The red cloud under his feet began to churn rapidly. Long Banlin's long hair scattered. The aura on his body suddenly changed. It was as if he was a completely different person from before. The red cloud rose and covered his body. Long Banlin's entire body was covered in red armor. At the same time, he was holding a blood-red spear in his hand. The fire scale spear. Murderous aura rose around him. The murderous aura was like a gust of wind. Hurricanes even appeared within a 10-mile radius around him. The real battle has begun. Sumo's lips curled up. She seemed to be interested. Sumo, who do you think will win? Yi Wuhui asked. It must be that Fallen Star. Sumo said. Why? Yi Wuhui frowned. Aren't they at the same level? They are, but if she wasn't confident, she wouldn't have entered the Star Desert Sea. This is a dangerous place. She had a lot of time to escape, but she didn't. She must be waiting for the Qilin. You said she's not Fallen Star. Then who is she? I think we'll find out soon. Sumo smiled. Long Banlin is a 3rd-tier venerable. Fallen Star will have to show her true form if she wants to win. The Qilin are all brave warriors. Long Banlin, half dragon, half Qilin. His title of God of War is not just for show. The shadow of desolation interjected. Hee. Sumo nodded. Then she said to Yi Wuhui, but it looks like our trip to Divine Peacock Mountain will be smoother. The Peacock clan and the Qilin clan are going to fight. The Prajnar realm is no longer peaceful. Oh, Yi Wuhui didn't understand. Shadow, you and Misty will guard this place. I think the Southern Qilin Duke will arrive with his 3,000 Black Qilin army soon. It shouldn't be a problem for you and Missy to block them, right? Demon King, don't worry. The Shadow of Desolation said, but do you want them alive or dead? Hee. Sumo laughed coldly. In this vast Star Desert Sea, even a venerable would not be able to explore it without using some tricks. Then why should we keep the Qilin clan? If we can kill them, then we'll leave none alive. Anyway, it will be the Peacock clan's fault, so why not? At that moment, Sumo's face showed the smile of the Dark Sovereign. Sumo hadn't forgotten the grudge in the Devil Moon world. This subordinate understands. The Shadow of Desolation answered. Sumo, what are you doing? Yi Wuhui asked. I want to make sure that venerated Killer Starfall is safe. Sumo looked at the water mirror, and his lips curled up slightly. This time, the venerable of the Qilin clan would definitely not survive. Whoosh! At that moment, Long Banlin's spear shook and went straight for Fallen Star. At the same time, he formed a seal with one hand. Thousands of rocks and dust in the Star Desert Sea were gathered by him and went straight for Fallen Star. A battle between venerables. Fortunately, they were in the Star Desert Sea. Otherwise, each of their Tao techniques could destroy a star. At that moment, Long Banlin was filled with killing intent. His dragon's soul had been devoured. That was something he absolutely could not accept. He had to kill Fallen Star. Fallen Star laughed coldly. Her expression was still calm. Just as Sumo had said, she came prepared. Otherwise, she would not have entered the Star Desert Sea. Fallen Star formed a seal with both hands, and the five-colored light on her body shone again. The stardust that Long Banlin swept up was immediately dispersed by the five-colored light. Before the five-color divine light, those techniques were useless. Fallen Star was worried about the blood-colored spear. It was a top-notch venerable divine weapon. Fallen Star's five-color divine light could not stop it. However, Fallen Star soared into the air and raised one hand. Whoosh, green light appeared, and an ancient umbrella appeared in her hand. The sea of bitterness has a limit, and the land of bliss has no worries. The 8 ancient seals emitted endless green light, almost illuminating the entire Star Desert Sea. Sumo's lips curled up. All his guesses were confirmed. Fallen Star was Yuluo. Chapter 809. Primordial Mystic Yellow Umbrella. Yiwuhui was shocked. She's a Buddhist supreme? No, she's the second peacock princess, Yuluo. Yiwuhui raised his voice and looked at Sumo in shock. She wasn't an unintelligent person. It was just that she had never thought of Yuluo before. Because in Xiao Huang's memory, Yuluo had died a long time ago. At the foot of Divine Peacock Mountain, there was Yuluo's tombstone as proof. But inference. Maybe Yuluo wasn't dead. At this moment, Sumo nodded with a smile. I can't think of a second person besides Yuluo. Back then, she had the white jade gourd. The mysterious master she spoke of should be Yun San. Now, Yun San passed the primordial mystic yellow umbrella to her. Only when she turns into Xing Luo can she be flawless. She's a real peacock. But what does she want? Yiwuhui frowned. I think the so-called Supreme Lotus would never allow her to castrate Prince Nanlin and Princess Nanlin, right? Definitely not. Huh, Sumo said. Castrating the Qilin is most likely because the third Qilin prince wanted to marry her. That's why taking revenge on the Qilin clan is interesting. At the same time, she wants to instigate a war between the Qilin and Peacock clans. Yiwuhui asked. Most likely. Sumo nodded. Actually, the words she said under the name of Supreme Lotus cannot withstand scrutiny. That's why Duke Nanlin and Long Banlin will definitely see through it. But that way, they will overlook her true identity. Yiwuhui said. That's right. Sumo sneered. In many situations, people always think they're smart. That's why if they see through her first lie, they will overlook the second. What's more, Long Banlin already confirmed her rainbow divine light. Other than Xing Luo, there shouldn't be a second female supreme in the Peacock clan. That means it's Xing Luo. Who would think of Luo, who died millions of years ago? Sumo sighed. This time, Yuluo will definitely be the same as us. She's also an avenger. Her hatred might be greater than yours, Yiwuhui said in a low voice. Because, more often than not, a woman's hatred was more terrifying than a man's. Hee. When Sumo heard this, she laughed coldly. That's good. Let's turn this Sanskrit world upside down together. Whoosh boom. While the two of them were talking, Long Banlin's fire Qilin spear had already finished its battle with the mysterious yellow umbrella. Green light filled the sky and suppressed the fire dragon. The fire Qilin spear was a top-notch venerable divine weapon, and so was the mystic yellow umbrella. However, when the two of them collided, Long Banlin was at a complete disadvantage. His eyes were filled with green light. When Fallen Star's ancient umbrella opened, it was as if a whole new world had opened up. What kind of magic treasure was that? Long Banlin was a top-notch expert in the Prajna world. His knowledge was definitely not low. but he did not recognize the original mystic yellow umbrella. However, he could sense that it was in existence close to Lienbois, the Lotus Venerable's item. At first, he did not believe Fallen Star's words about the Lotus Venerable, just like the Southern Lin King. However, there was no way to explain what was happening. Fallen Star, or even the Peacock clan, did not have the strength to fight the Qilin clan. Yet, Fallen Star did it. There must be something fishy about it. Long Bamlin was thinking that without the Lotus Venerable's support, Fallen Star would not have dared to do this. However, Fallen Star's methods might not be what the Lotus Venerable said. The Peacock clan wanted to humiliate the Qilin clan. If that was the case, it would make sense. The dragon's soul, the ancient umbrella, the castration of the prince, and the killing of the concubine could all be explained. Was the Lotus Venerable really behind Fallen Star? Long Bamlin could not help but feel uneasy when he thought of this. He knew very well what the Lotus Venerable meant. It was the true ruler of the Prajnal world. The three demon clans could not withstand a single blow from the Lotus Venerable. Did the Qilin clan really offend the Lotus Venerable? How did the Peacock clan gain the Lotus Venerable's favor? Were Fallen Star's methods so powerful? What should the Lotus Venerable do if he was angry? Long Bamlin had his own thoughts and concerns. This was a great taboo in a battle between martial venerables. This was because Fallen Star was a true third-stage martial venerable. Fallen Star had no concerns. She was filled with killing intent. Whoosh! The mystic illusion umbrella in her hand began to spin. Each time it spun, a new umbrella would appear. In an instant, 1 became 10, 10 became 100, and 100 became 1,000,000. The ancient umbrella was boundless with green light. The entire Star Desert Sea had become a sea of green light. Every ancient umbrella was like a wave. Whoosh, whoosh. A faint sound of zither could be heard following the waves. The sound of the zither was mournful and lingering. The waves rose and fell, and the sound of the zither resonated with the waves. In an instant, the entire Star Desert Sea turned into a real ocean. What a beautiful ocean! Yi Wuhui praised sincerely as he looked at the image in the mirror. Oh! Sumo was stunned. Then, she patted Yi Wuhui lightly. Wake up! Huh? Yi Wuhui shuddered. He looked at the mirror again. The ocean was nowhere to be seen. Fallen Star stood a few kilometers in front of Long Bamlin. She was making hand seals. The mystic illusion umbrella was open above her head. The umbrella glowed with green light. An illusion? Yi Wuhui exclaimed. If Sumo had not patted him, he would have fallen for the illusion just by looking at the image in the mirror. An illusion? Sumo nodded. Moreover, it's an illusion created by Yun San after he missed AMU. Back then, there was a forbidden land in the galaxy called the Dream Departing Planet. No one dared to go near the Dream Departing Planet. This was because Yun San's zither music controlled the entire galaxy. Anyone who entered would be lost. The Dream Departing Zither song is a top Dharma art from the Galaxy era. It seems that Yun San values Yu Luo very much. Otherwise, he would not have taught her this Dharma art, Sumo said. Clang, clang. The zither music was urgent, as if there were thousands of soldiers and horses. Sumo maintained her composure. Neither what he saw in the water mirror nor what he saw with his demonic eyes could affect his mind. At the end of the day, he was more powerful than Fallen Star. If Yun San were to use the Dharma art now, Sumo would fall as well. Long Bamlin's killing intent was at its peak. However, his slight misgivings had given Fallen Star a chance to escape. In an instant, he had fallen into an illusion without realizing it. No one knew what was happening in Long Bamlin's divine spiritual world. However, Sumo could tell that Long Bamlin's face was pale and his spiritual soul was damaged. He stood motionless in the sea of stars. The mystic illusion umbrella kept spinning. The zither music it released was exactly the same as what Yun San had played in the past. Yun San had imprinted the Dream Departing Zither song on the ancient umbrella. Fallen Star looked at Long Bamlin and could not help but shake her head. Her master had said that those with emotions were most afraid of this music. The Dream Departing Zither could destroy spiritual souls. The reason why Long Bamlin had fallen so quickly was definitely because of past emotions. Sigh. However, Fallen Star's lips curled up and her gaze turned cold. Long Bamlin, unfortunately, you were born into the Chelan race. You can only die. Jun Moyu, listen to me play the zither. Fallen Star's voice rose up, like she was talking to herself, like she was talking in her sleep. It gently floated on the sea of stars, like it came from another world. What is fake? What is true? Life and death. The moon wheel in the bitter ocean can reflect my heart. In the 6 paths of dreams, my soul accompanies your soul. Don't ask how many emotions you had in your past life. I only hope that you won't hate me in this life. The song of the vast ocean can't be asked for. On Dream Departing Island, breaking the world, Fallen Star's appearance was slowly changing. She had changed back to her original appearance. Actually, Fallen Star and Yulua looked very similar. They both had blue hair and beautiful features. Yulua spoke slowly, her eyes filled with tears. Dream Departing Zither song. Her master had composed it for the Holy Father Amu, but now she was singing it for Xiao Wang. Different times, different people, but she and Yun San both had people they missed. Mei Lang, I'm back to avenge you, Yulua murmured in her heart. Huff, when Yulua's song sounded, Long Bamlin's face turned as white as a sheet. He shouted, Long Qing, you betrayed me. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 810. Who is Long Qing? Yi Wuhui couldn't help but ask. Sumo shook her head. Of course she didn't know. However, the Shadow of Desolation answered. It is said that when Long Bamlin was young, he liked a girl from the Dragon Clan. Unfortunately, they didn't end up together, and no one knows the reason. After that, Long Bamlin never married. Actually, there are countless female cultivators in the Chelan astral realm who are pursuing him. However, Long Bamlin has never been moved. Yu Luo's technique is indeed domineering. It seems that she has opened up his inner demons. Sumo and Yi Wuhui nodded. So what if he was a supremacy? Long Bamlin was still trapped by love. Sumo sighed inwardly. There was actually no end to everything. There was no end to the realm, and there was no end to the pain. Whoosh! At this time, Yu Luo was already moving forward. The mystic yellow umbrella was above her head. At the same time, a slender sword appeared in Yu Luo's hand. The sword was nearly 4 feet long and less than an inch wide. On it, a faint white light flowed. Endless Buddhist aura curled around it, as if it contained countless white lotuses. Lianbua. Yi Wuhui couldn't help but be shocked, because she saw the many lotuses. That sword really gave off the feeling of a Lianbua. Sumo was stunned. Endless Buddhist light. That was the invincible, immortal sword of the Paradise Earth lineage. It was an existence of the same level as the Cloud Piercer, Phoenix Feather, and Clear Stream Sword. However, this sword had been in the hands of the Paradise Earth fisherman. Unexpectedly, it was in Yu Luo's hands now, and this sword seemed to have been refined again. Its power was even greater than before. It was already a Lianbua. Lianbua? Sumo's heart skipped a beat. To be able to refine Lianbua, one should at least be a Lotus Knight. The boundless Buddhist light was refined once again. Then who could ever find it? Did the clouds scatter into Lotus Knights? Chi-Chi, endless Buddhist light instantly shone. The entire star desert sea rippled with white light. The white light even suppressed the green light from before. One of them even pierced Long Bamlin's immortal heart. That sword strike appeared almost at the same time as Long Bamlin's shout. At this moment, Long Bamlin's divine soul had yet to recover. His clothes were stained with blood, but his mind was not clear. He was still in the illusion and had no idea that a sword was stabbing towards him. Long Bamlin, a supreme expert, was going to die under Yu Luo's sword just like that. However, at this moment, a ball of mysterious light lit up in the star desert sea. That profound light suddenly appeared, almost without any warning. Roar. Then, with a loud roar, a golden Chelan charged out from behind Yu Luo. That Chelan was only 10 zhang tall, but its entire body was covered in golden scales, and its horns were like halberds. And on its back stood a female cultivator. That female cultivator was also wearing a long golden dress, and she blended well with the Qilin. She stood on top of the Qilin with narrowed eyes and a cold smile on her face, as if she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Her goal wasn't to save Long Banlin, but to kill Yu Luo, because based on the current situation, Yu Luo's sword could no longer be pulled back. Yu Luo gave it her all when she stabbed at Long Banlin. She definitely didn't think that there was a Qilin cultivator hidden in the Star Desert Sea, and a supremacy at that. The Qilin Cloud Realm sent 2 supremacies to kill Long Banlin's assassin. This greatly exceeded Yu Luo's expectations. After all, in theory, Long Banlin alone could solve all problems. Unless the Kuan Butterfly Clan supremacies came, Long Banlin's cultivation level was enough to deal with the Qilin and Peacock realms. One should know that the other 2 supremacies of the Peacock clan were only level 3 supremacies. But the Qilin Cloud Realm sent 2 supremacies. If Yu Luo withdrew her sword now, she would lose the best chance to kill Long Banlin. Once Long Banlin awoke from the illusion, she wouldn't have the ability to deal with the 2 supremacies. When that happened, she would definitely die in the Star Desert Sea. If she didn't withdraw her sword, Long Banlin would die. Though she would most likely be heavily injured, there was still a chance of survival. At this time, she could only go all out. Qi, Hu, Hua. A great force spread in the Star Desert Sea. Yu Luo's eyes flashed with determination. She didn't withdraw her sword. Instead, she became even more determined. However, the Golden Umbrella moved at first. In fact, the Golden Umbrella was maintaining her illusion. However, at this moment, the Ancient Umbrella could only block diagonally behind her. That was the only way to ensure that Yu Luo wouldn't die. However, the illusion was about to be broken. Therefore, timing was crucial. All of this was a matter of life and death in an instant. Though the Sea Dragon Soul was not far away, it wouldn't be able to save Yu Luo in time. Boom! The Golden Qilin's horn slammed into the Golden Umbrella. A thunderous sound reverberated through the air. The Golden Qilin's horn was comparable to a supremacy divine weapon. That collision directly sent the original mystic yellow umbrella flying. After all, it wasn't in Yu Luo's hands. At the same time, Long Banlin regained consciousness. Those were the last words Long Banlin uttered in shock, because the boundless Buddhist light had pierced through his immortal heart. However, the Golden Qilin's momentum didn't decrease. Bang! It crashed into Yu Luo. Although Yuro had used the Rainbow Divine Light to protect herself, the Rainbow Divine Light's defensive capabilities were limited against such an absolute physical attack. Endless Buddhist light burst out of Long Banlin's body. Countless rays of Buddhist light pierced through his body. There seemed to be a sun hidden in his immortal heart. Then, the sun suddenly glowed. Boom! Unfortunately, Long Banlin's death was inexplicable. In fact, he was a righteous, brave, and even a man of faith. But that was how the world was. Most of the time, death would not be arranged in advance, nor would it be carefully chosen. If Yu Luo had a choice, she might not have killed Long Banlin. But given the current situation, that was all she could do. Plus, Long Banlin recognized her. Long Banlin was killed, and Yu Luo was sent flying out of the Star Desert Sea. The sea-white dragon flew toward Yu Luo. The female cultivator on the Golden Qilin glanced at Long Banlin's body, which hadn't completely disappeared. So what if Long Banlin is a venerable, a god of war? Long Banlin, you're just a fighter. Today, you're bait. Whoosh! She reached out her hand and took a jade pendant from Long Banlin's body. There was a dragon engraved on the pendant. She knew it was a storage pendant. Long Banlin's important things were in the pendant. She would take the pendant first, then kill the peacock. The female cultivator in a gold outfit smiled. She was feeling proud of herself. She had made the right decision to come. She would definitely gain something from killing the peacock. Therefore, she patted the Qilin she was sitting on and flew toward Yu Luo. Yu Luo was currently being carried on the back of the sea white dragon. There was blood at the corner of her mouth. As a matter of fact, if she wasn't injured, she wouldn't have the right to ride on the dragon's back. Even though the mystic yellow umbrella and the five-color divine light had helped her block the golden Qilin, she was already severely injured. Second level, Venerable Realm. Yuluo had never seen the female cultivator in a gold outfit before. If she wasn't injured, she would be able to fight, but she was definitely no match for her. Peacock, you can't run away even though you have a dragon soul. I've sealed this place. He. The female cultivator in a gold outfit laughed. She was confident that she could control everything. Whoosh! She waved her hand and shot a golden ray at Yuluo. She wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. However, a voice suddenly came. Qilin lady, it's too early for you to be happy. Boom! A bloody rose shattered the golden ray. Sumo in a white outfit stood in front of Yuluo with a cold smile. Chapter 8:11. He was dressed in white and had long hair. As soon as Sumo appeared, he revealed his true body. He was holding a rose in his hand, bright red and glistening. However, he did not step on the demonic boat. Instead, he stepped on the sea of flowers. He left the demonic boat with Yi Wuhui just in case. With the demonic boat, even if a venerable attacked, Yi Wuhui's life would not be in danger with the Desolation Demon Shadow. Galaxy Demon King? Qilin girl was stunned. The Galaxy Demon King was no stranger to the Qilin clan. After all, 3 million years ago, the Galaxy Demon King killed their third prince in the Dead Souls galaxy of the Dusty World. He even destroyed a part of the venerable Qilin King's divine soul. However, the strange thing was that there was no news of the Galaxy Demon King after the battle between Hongshun and Yujio. No one knew where the Galaxy Demon King had gone. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. The Qilin clan had sent people to investigate this matter many times, but to no avail. Qilin girl had taken on this mission, but to no avail. Who would have thought that the Galaxy Demon King would appear in the Star Desert Sea today? Was he a Stage 2 or Stage 3 venerable? Qilin girl frowned, because Sumo's realm seemed to be fluctuating. She could not see through it completely. Sumo seemed to have a special temperament. Qilin girl, nice to meet you. Sumo looked at Qilin girl and smiled. However, Sumo's smile had a hint of demonic charm. Back then, whether it was on Xiao Luo's face or the Dark Lord's face, it was a deadly smile. Unfortunately, Qilin girl did not know. Instead, she felt that the smile was very useful. Galaxy Demon King, do you know me? Qilin girl was the fourth venerable of the Qilin Cloud Realm. She had a pure Qilin bloodline. However, she did not expect the Galaxy Demon King to recognize her at first sight. This made her, who was always conceited, feel great. Of course, Sumo nodded. This was because the Shadow of the Desolation had already briefly explained her situation to Sumo. The Qilin girl was a rather special existence in the Qilin clan. The Qilin she was riding on was her twin brother. Brother and sister were born together, but her brother had never been able to transform. That was a somewhat foolish Qilin. If he didn't cultivate, he would just have a body full of bones and divine strength. In the end, it became his sister's mount. This was how the Qilin girl got her name. It could be said that the Qilin girl was the only cultivator in the entire Hanya realm who had a Qilin mount. Although the Golden Qilin was not a venerable, its battle strength had reached the 9th level of the Eternal Realm. It could completely resist a venerable divine weapon. This could be seen from the collision between it and the original yellow umbrella. Therefore, the Qilin girl's battle prowess was not much inferior to Long Banlin's. In her heart, the Qilin girl had always been unconvinced by Long Banlin. She believed that the position of the third venerable should belong to her. And today, she finally got her wish. Unfortunately, she did not realize that she might not be the third venerable one for long. Very good. The Qilin girl carefully sized up Sumo. Her gaze couldn't help but become ambiguous. Galaxy Demon King, you really live up to your name. As expected, you are extremely elegant and beautiful like a demon. In the various worlds, there aren't many guys like you. Why not follow me back to the Cloud World today, and the matter between you and the Qilin race will be written off? Oh, when Sumo heard this, he was first stunned, and then the smile on his face became even thicker. Qilin girl, Do your words work in the Qilin cloud world? Don't worry. The Qilin girl smiled charmingly. Demon King, as long as you follow my wishes, everything will be fine. Kakik. Since ancient times, heroes love beauties. Men are used to having multiple wives and concubines. And I, the Qilin girl, also have a heart of joy. Galaxy Demon King, Qilin female venerable, it would be a good story for us to be compatible. Follow me back and stay in my palace. And then enjoy yourself every day. Isn't that great? Oh, the smile on Sumo's face didn't decrease, but the rose in his hand became more and more beautiful. Demon King, I actually have great ability. The Qilin girl's eyes were filled with lust, and her words had a hidden meaning. However, you still don't know. Once we return, you will understand how good I am. Shameless. At the border of Star Desert Ocean, on the demon boat, Yi Wu Hui was furious and embarrassed. To him, the Qilin girl's words were a form of blasphemy towards Sumo. Just now, I didn't tell the Demon King in detail. That Qilin girl is said to have 3,000 men, and she enjoys herself every day. She is the top beauty of the Sanskrit world. The Desolation Demon Shadow said, the entire Qilin race has numerous cultivators who have fallen to her skirt. That year, Long Banlin rejected her. She probably harbors a grudge in her heart. If not, she wouldn't have done nothing to save him and only acted in the end. Yi Wu Hui said coldly, Sumo will definitely kill her. Star Desert Ocean will be her grave. Hee hee. At this moment, Sumo looked at the Qilin girl and said, Qilin girl, we don't need to go back. I think this place is good enough. Here, the Qilin girl pretended to be shy. Demon King, this place isn't too convenient, right? Why are you in such a hurry? Convenient. Sumo looked at the Qilin girl and smiled strangely. Star Desert Ocean. Doesn't it look like a huge graveyard? It'll be very glorious for you to die here. With that, Sumo's face turned cold, and the rose in his hand shot out. 10,000 blood roses instantly bloomed. The surrounding 10,000 li turned into a sea of flowers, and layers of blood waves rolled ceaselessly. The Devil's Flower definitely lived up to its name. The Qilin girl once said that she had already sealed Star Desert Ocean, and now, the Devil's Flower sealed her again. Today, this battle would not end until one of them died. At this moment, Yuluo was already sitting cross-legged on the White Dragon Soul, healing her injuries. The Star River Demon King had arrived. This was something that she never expected. At this moment, she was a little nervous, because she already knew Xiao Huang's true identity. The Demon King was Mei Lang's father. At the same time, she felt at ease. With the Demon King here, she felt that she had someone to rely on, just like when her master was by her side. That feeling of security was something that she had never felt from her father. Sumo was like a mountain blocking in front of her. She knew that the Demon King would protect her. Looking again, Sumo had already flown up. With a shake of her hand, the lotus vine shone brightly, like a flood dragon. Lianbua. Although the Qilin girl was lewd, but her battle strength was definitely not ordinary. Otherwise, how could she become a venerable? However, she did not expect that Sumo would not be moved by her at all. Actually, she did not really intend to rely on her beauty to make Sumo submit. However, she believed that her charm was not ordinary. Even if she could make Sumo's soul sway, she would have a higher chance of winning. In the entire Qilin star boundary, even the Qilin King had once had sex with her, let alone others. Other than Long Banlin, there was almost no male cultivator in the Qilin star boundary that the Qilin girl could not charm. Unfortunately, she met Sumo. The red flowers were like the sea, and the green light was like lightning. The lotus vine flew over, not towards the Qilin girl, but towards the golden Qilin. Just now, it was the one that injured Yuluo. How could Sumo spare it? Chapter 812. Xiao Luo and AMU were both three-realm lotus souls. Therefore, there were many similarities between them. However, in terms of ruthlessness, Xiao Luo was definitely superior. Back then, Xiao Luo, Murong Huang, and even the Netherlord had all endured humiliation and would not rest until they were dead. They would even do anything to achieve their goals. Those who deserved to be killed, they would definitely kill. Those who didn't deserve to be killed, they could also kill. Sumo had the characteristics of the three of them. In a sense, the Dark Lord, Xiao Luo, and Murong Huang were Sumo. And this time, he came to the Sanskrit world with killing intent. However, he hadn't started killing yet. If he killed the Qilin girl, it would be a good start to his journey to the wisdom of wisdom. At this time, Sumo's killing intent was growing crazily. Therefore, his first move was the power of wind and thunder. At the same time, he was also worried that another sovereign would come from the Qilin cloud world. If time dragged on, it would be disadvantageous for him if the honorable Qilin king rushed over. Who? The lotus vine's green light swept towards the golden Qilin. The golden Qilin was a wild beast. Other than the basic 5 elemental magic, it only had a body of bones and divine power. However, normal reincarnation realm cultivators wouldn't dare to go head-on against it even if they had magical treasures. That fellow was also a mutant. Therefore, it normally behaved unscrupulously and was extremely violent. Sometimes, even the Qilin girl could not completely control it. The golden Qilin was like a blazing wild horse of the secular world. Therefore, when Sumo's lotus vines came straight at it, it didn't dodge at all. Instead, it lowered its head and rushed towards Sumo's green light. Sumo couldn't help but sneer in her heart. A demon-shaped Qilin actually dared to compete with a lotus vine? He really didn't know his own capabilities. At this moment, the Qilin girl had already flown away from the golden Qilin. She did not stop the golden Qilin's seemingly reckless behavior. She needed the golden Qilin to restrain Sumo. This was her usual tactic. Who? At the same time, the Qilin girl had already formed a seal with her hands. She barely dodged the blood-colored rose just now. Although she didn't recognize the devil flower, the aura of the red flower made her heart tremble. What a dense killing intent. The Galaxy Demon King was definitely not easy to deal with. Otherwise, how could he have killed the Qilin third prince and destroyed the Qilin King's divine soul? The Qilin girl did not dare to be careless. Suddenly, her body glowed with a golden light. She immediately used her top-grade immortal art as soon as she arrived. Looking again, the sky was filled with crisscrossing golden light. In the void, they formed a net wall that pressed down on Sumo. Each ray of light contained the force of the Martial Highness realm. Just one of them was enough to annihilate a reincarnation cultivator. However, that golden net wall was nothing in Sumo's eyes. To Sumo, a battle between equals wasn't a battle at all. It was a slaughter. Sumo raised her left hand slightly and pointed with her index and middle finger. Chi! A jet of black flame shot out. The black flame looked ordinary, but it instantly turned into a 100-foot black hole in the void. Nether energy was dense within it, and it was dark and lightless. It was a pure netherworld technique. Among all the worlds, only Sumo's was authentic. Devour! Sumo shouted. Looking again, the Qilin girl's golden light was being devoured bit by Sumo's black hole. At the same time, Sumo's lotus vine wrapped around the golden Qilin's dragon horn. The golden Qilin thought that it could charge its Sumo with its divine power. The lotus vine seemed to be able to break in an instant. After all, it hadn't encountered anything in the Qilin astral that could restrain it. However, it didn't expect the lotus vine to tighten after wrapping around its dragon horn. That feeling was like a mortal being tightly bound by a beast tendon, and the tendon went straight into the skin. Then, the more it moved, the tighter it became, and its head hurt. One end of the lotus vine was held in Sumo's hand. At this moment, the entire lotus vine was stretched straight. Layers of green light surged like waves. Every layer of green light that attacked the golden Qilin made it extremely painful. Its expression was ferocious, and its face was distorted. The once invincible golden Qilin was now tightly bound by the lotus vine. Lotus fall, take root. Sumo shook her wrist and shouted at the same time. Looking again, the lotus vine instantly grew and penetrated the dragon horn. At the same time, there were a few strands of lotus silk that wrapped around the Chilin's forehooves. Roar, roar. The golden Chilin roared at the sky. Its eyes were blood red, and it exerted all of its strength. However, it was firmly bound in the void by the lotus vine and couldn't move at all. At this moment, the lotus vine had already grown into the Chilin's body. This scene caused the Chilin girl's expression to change. Sumo's Dharma treasure and immortal art were completely out of her expectations. The Galaxy Demon King looked like a second or third stage venerable, but its battle prowess was comparable to that of a venerable king. However, the Chilin girl was gratified to see that the golden Chilin had restrained one of Sumo's lianbua. In her opinion, this was equivalent to cutting off one of Sumo's arms. Not every venerable had a lianbua. The standard of invenerable was only invenerable divine weapon. Therefore, the Chilin girl thought that Sumo's lianbua was restrained was a great opportunity for her. She was going to counterattack. The Chilin girl sneered and opened her red lips. A speck of light shot out from her mouth. The speck of light was less than 3 inches long, and it was slightly blue. It was almost invisible in space. However, it was the Chilin girl's most powerful Dharma treasure, because it was her lianbua, her one and only lianbua, the Chilin needle. The Chilin needle was said to be formed from the soul of an ancient Chilin king. Although it was small, it was extremely powerful. It could kill a soul with a single needle, and it was highly toxic. At the same time, it could break through any protective armor. At least, in the Chilin astral, other than the 2 venerable kings' divine armors, there was nothing that could stop it. The Chilin needle unleashed its greatest power in the Chilin girl's hands, because it was used as a hidden weapon. Usually, the Chilin girl would nourish it inside her body. When the charm technique was used with the Chilin needle, it was impossible to defend against it. In the Prajnar realm, countless almighties had died in the hands of the Chilin girl. However, Sumo was prepared. He used one hand to control the lotus vine, and at the same time his mind moved. The Cosmos sac was already in the air. The Cosmos sac could not contain the lianbua, but it could make the Chilin needle slow down. Chi, chi. The 3-inch speck of light trembled slightly, but it could not move forward. The Chilin girl turned pale with fright, because she did not expect that Sumo's ragged sac was also a lianbua. 2 lianbua. The Chilin girl did not expect it again. Trap. At this moment, Sumo pointed in the air with one hand. Looking again, a 5-colored light appeared under the Chilin girl's feet. That light was very similar to the Peacock clan's 5-color divine light. However, inside the divine light, there were various colors rippling, rising and falling. It was constantly changing. Forbidden map. The Chilin girl had heard of a strange technique in the 3 realms galaxy called the Forbidden Map. At this moment, the Forbidden Map had already wrapped around her body like a vine. The Chilin girl was being drowned by the Forbidden Map. Outside the Star Desert Sea, the southern Chilin Duke arrived with 3,000 Black Chilin army. Chapter 8:13. 3,000 Black Chilin army soldiers and black armored beasts. The members of the Black Lin army were all tall and sturdy. They wore heavy armor and held long axes in their hands. What they were riding was a black monster. The strange beasts looked like horses and deers, but they weren't. They all had horns on their heads and were extremely muscular. It was 30 feet tall and covered in black fur. The Southern Lin Duke held the Chilin dragon blade in his hand and stood at the front of the group. He was also clad in black armor. However, he didn't have a mount. Instead, there was a black cloud beneath his feet. This was also a special characteristic of the Chilin bloodline. Other than the Chilin girl, almost all of the Chilin bloodline stepped on clouds. Star Desert Sea. Previously, the South Lin County Duke had already received the news. Long Ban Lin, the Chilin war god, had already arrived. In the eyes of the South Lin Duke, Long Ban Lin was enough to settle everything. Thus, the 3,000 Black Unicorn Army soldiers that the Southern Unicorn Duke had brought were extremely imposing, because they were originally one of the most elite troops in the South Unicorn Star region. Furthermore, they only needed to clean up the battlefield this time. Since the Venerable One was here, what else did they have to fear? 3,000 lives in the immortal realm. The entire Qilin clan had a total of 5 great elite Qilin armies. They were divided into 5 colors: cyan, white, red, black, and gold, each with different functions. The White Lin army wore light armor, while the Black Lin army wore heavy armor. However, 3 million years ago, the Qilin Third Prince's White Lin army was trapped in the Dead Souls galaxy. The Qilin Third Prince had fallen, and the 3,000 White Lin army soldiers were nowhere to be found. This also became the mystery of that year. Now, the White Lin army had already been reorganized. However, the Qilin clan had suffered considerable losses back then. After all, a sempiternal realm cultivator was no pushover. The Black Qilin army had always served under the Southern Qilin Duke's camp. This group of elites were always victorious and had never tasted defeat. An army of tigers and wolves, 3,000 undying. Even if they met a rebirth realm cultivator, they could still fight for a while. In fact, the South Unicorn Duke hadn't mobilized them this time to deal with Xing Luo. Instead, once Xing Luo was killed, the Qilin clan might be able to seize the opportunity to attack the Peacock Astral. Therefore, he mobilized the Second and Third Prince's armies at the same time. In a few days, there would be millions of troops stationed outside the Star Desert Sea, humiliating his son and killing his wife. This kind of enmity, the Southern Lin royal prince will definitely take revenge. Moreover, it wasn't as if the Qilin clan didn't have any designs on the Peacock Astral. This was an opportunity. If the Qilin clan was able to defeat the Peacock clan with the momentum of breaking bamboo, the Qilin clan would definitely be able to defeat the Peacock clan. In that case, even the revered Lotus would not do anything to the Qilin clan. After all, the Qilin clan was very valuable. The South Unicorn Region Duke was naturally very familiar with the Star Desert Sea, so he had no qualms about entering the Star Desert Sea. Moreover, Long Banlin was already in the Star Desert Sea. Perhaps War God has already killed Fallen Star by now. The South Lin Duke sneered as he pondered. Advance. The Southern Unicorn Duke narrowed his eyes. Unfortunately, he was only at the 9th layer of the Rebirth realm and did not notice anything unusual, because the place where Sumo and the Qilin girl were fighting had already been sealed twice by them. Thus, the Southern Unicorn Duke waved his dragon Qilin blade and personally led 3,000 heavy armor into the Star Desert Sea. Actually, it wasn't that the Southern Unicorn Duke wasn't cautious enough. On the contrary, his Black Unicorn army was extremely organized. Every one of them spread out their divine senses and searched with all their might. However, the Southern Unicorn Duke would never have thought that not only had Long Banlin been killed, but the Qilin girl's life was also hanging by a thread. The second supreme being of the Qilin clan was about to be buried in the Star Desert Sea. Who? Hua minus 3,000 immortals, a trail of dust. A large path opened up in the Star Desert Sea, allowing them to fly. At this moment, Yi Wuhui stood on the demon boat, smiling as he watched everything. Demon Shadow, our opponents are here. Lady Yi, don't worry. The Desolation Demon Shadow sneered. In a while, you just need to stand on the demon boat. Leave them all to me. But what? Yi Wuhui asked. I want to subdue the 3,000 Black Unicorn army and use them for me. Can I not kill them? The Desolation Demon Shadow said. Oh, Yi Wuhui was stunned. You can subdue them. Yes. The Desolation Demon Shadow said. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke will kill them directly, but the 3,000 Black Unicorn army will be of great use to us. Didn't the Demon King want to cause a war between the Qilin and Peacock realms? Then, the 3,000 Black Unicorn army will definitely be a powerful weapon. Of course that's good. Yi Wuhui nodded. She could guess what the Desolation Demon Shadow was preparing to do. She smiled. Everything will depend on your abilities. If you can subdue them, it will be of great use. Lady, don't worry. I will definitely give the Demon King a great gift. The Desolation Demon Shadow said. All right. Yi Wuhui nodded. Hua. The demon boat moved forward. Yi Wuhui headed straight for the Southern Unicorn Region Duke's 3,000 Black Unicorn army. Although the Star Desert Sea was vast, Yi Wu Hui was standing on their path. Who? The Southern Unicorn Region Duke felt a special presence appear 100 miles in front of him. In an instant, he saw a blue-clothed female cultivator standing on the demon boat, blocking in front of his troops. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke stopped his troops. Who are you? Kiki. Yi Wu Hui smiled. Southern Unicorn Region Duke, I have been waiting for you for a long time under the orders of my queen. Peacock bloodline. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke was stunned. To be honest, he was not prepared. The cultivators of the peacock race were actually lying in ambush in the Star Desert Sea. However, when he saw that Yi Wu Hui was only a Stage 3 Rebirth Realm cultivator, he sneered in his heart. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke pointed the Dragon Shielan blade at Yi Wu Hui. The peacock bloodline is really audacious. It seems like you are forcing my Qilin race to destroy your divine Peacock Mountain. That depends on whether you have the ability. Yi Wu Hui said, It is hard to say who will destroy, who will kill. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke did not want to talk to Yi Wu Hui anymore. At this moment, he only wanted to kill whoever came. Previously, he had endured the matter of Fallen Star. A Stage 3 Rebirth Realm cultivator actually dared to block him alone? If he did not kill, what else could he do? Who? Ka. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke waved the Dragon Shielan blade in his hand. A black flash appeared in the air and slashed at Yi Wu Hui. In his opinion, he could kill Yi Wu Hui with one slash. However, he was thinking too much. Yi Wu Hui stood on the magic boat and smiled coldly, not moving an inch. However, countless black feathers suddenly flew out from the shadow under her feet. Black peacock feathers. That was an authentic peacock bloodline spell. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke could see that Yi Wu Hui was not a peacock. However, the peacock bloodline had many demons, and the stronger ones could use the peacock bloodline spell. It was indeed the peacock bloodline. This time it was confirmed. Actually, this was the Desolate Demon Shadows method. Not to mention the peacock bloodline spell. He could even use Qilin bloodline spell easily. The Southern Unicorn Region Duke was stunned. He was not surprised by the black peacock feathers. What surprised him was that the power contained in the black feathers far exceeded the Stage 3 Rebirth Realm. The black feathers that filled the sky met his blade. Chi. The Dragon Shielan blade seemed to have cut cotton without any strength. However, the power of the blade disappeared instantly. The power contained in the black feathers was at least at the Stage 9 Rebirth Realm. The opponent had concealed his cultivation. Damn it! The Southern Unicorn Region Duke finally understood why the opponent dared to block him alone. However, he was still not afraid, because there were still 3,000 Black Unicorn Army soldiers behind him. 3,000 heavy armors. Even a Rebirth Realm cultivator could attack. That way, he could take advantage of the situation to kill the opponent. He had often used this method of fighting before. Black Unicorn, charge! The Southern Unicorn Region Duke shouted. However, something strange happened. The 3,000 Black Unicorn Army soldiers did not listen to his command. Instead, they floated in the air without moving, as if they had lost their souls. Chapter 814. Samsara of the One Hidden is late. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 815. Black Qilins, charge! Nanlin Prefecture King instinctively shouted again. However, the 3,000 Black Qilins did not move. This time, Nanlin Prefecture King realized the severity of the problem. Soul manipulation technique? Moreover, it was not a normal soul manipulation technique. It was a soul manipulation technique that targeted the Qilin clan. Otherwise, the 3,000 Black Qilins would not be affected at the same time. In an instant, Nanlin Prefecture King thought of a lost secret technique of the ancient demon race, Demon's Soul Execution. However, that secret technique had been lost for a long time. How could this be? Was it really Demon Soul Execution? However, all these thoughts passed in an instant. The situation in front of him didn't give him too much time to think. Whoosh! Yi Wuhui waved a hand. Actually, she was just pretending and did not use any technique. However, the cry of a peacock rang out in the air. Roar! A black peacock soared into the sky and pounced at Nanlin Prefecture King. Execute! Nanlin Prefecture King roared and slashed with his blade. The blade radiance was 100 zhang long and split the black peacock in half. The black light exploded and scattered bit by bit. However, Nanlin Prefecture King immediately realized that the black dots had trapped him within. Moreover, the black dots were slowly expanding. They were like black spots, and then they gradually connected into a large area. In an instant, a black shadow formed again, and that black shadow had already trapped the Southern Lin Prefecture Prince inside. It was like a sealing technique. At this time, Nanlin Prefecture King saw that there was a dark shadow below his 3,000 black cheelants. Those shadows gradually merged into one. A black sea seemed to have formed in the Star Desert Sea. His 3,000 black cheelants were already trapped in the Black Sea. Black light rippled. Nanlin Prefecture King's soul shook, because he instantly thought of an existence, desolate shadow. He naturally knew about the shadow of the desolation. However, he had never imagined that he would have to fight against the desolate demon shadow. That was because the desolate demon shadow was an ancient legend to him. Even as Nanlin Prefecture King, he had never seen the true form of desolate shadow. After all, it was a special existence created by the ancient demon race. Shadow technique. Nanlin Prefecture King's expression finally changed. He seemed to finally understand why his 3,000 cheelants were being controlled. That was indeed the demonic soul slaying. This was because the desolate demon shadow was proficient in all kinds of ancient secret techniques of the demon race. He finally understood why the Peacock clan dared to attack the Cheelan clan, because the desolate monster shadow was already helping the Peacock race. This conclusion was quickly formed. Unfortunately, it was still pinned on the Peacock clan in the end. You are the desolate demon shadow. The Southland Duke looked at Yi Wuhui and asked. He had only thought that the desolate demon shadow would attach itself to someone else's body, but he had never thought that the desolate demon shadow would serve someone. Me, Famine's demon shadow? Hearing this, Yi Wuhui couldn't help but smile, but then he slowly nodded. Southern Lin King, do you have any regrets dying in my hands? Desolate demon shadow, Peacock's lackey. When the Southland Duke heard this, he couldn't help but curse. Hee. Yi Wuhui shook his head and chuckled. Death is at hand. What's the point of having a sharp tongue? Who? Looking again, the shadows turned into black blades. Each blade was 3 feet long, and they pierced towards the Southland Duke. However, the Southland Duke was at the 9th level of the Eternal Realm, and he was protected by black armor. Chi-chi, the black blades instantly collapsed on contact with the armor. After all, they weren't lianbua, but sorcery. If the black blades had the power of Buddha's light, they would have already pierced through the Southland Duke. Unfortunately, they didn't. The Southland Duke was no longer in the mood to continue fighting, because he felt that things might not be the same as what he had imagined. The desolate demon shadow had already pledged allegiance to the Peacock clan. Since it could intercept him here, it was very likely that Long Ban Lin didn't kill Fallen Star. If Long Ban Lin had succeeded, how could he have left the desolate demon shadow here? One had to know that the 3 great demon clans all wanted to subdue the desolate demon shadow. The desolate demon shadow might not have become a venerable, but it was an existence with many demon race secret techniques. Its value was even greater than a venerable. Therefore, something must have happened to Long Ban Lin. The Southland Duke finally realized the seriousness of the matter. Now that Long Ban Lin couldn't be relied on and his Black Lin army was controlled, he only wanted to escape. Therefore, he took advantage of the moment the black blades collapsed to raise his own black cloud. The black cloud rose, and he wanted to escape. However, how could the desolate demon shadow give him the chance? Although the desolate demon shadow was still not a venerable and was only at the peak of the 9th level of the rebirth realm, it was absolutely no problem for it to deal with existences below the venerable level. The Southland Duke didn't have Lienbois. The black cloud rose, and the Southland Duke instantly flew hundreds of miles away. However, a black coffin directly flew out from the shadow under Yi Wuhui's feet. That was the coffin that the desolate demon shadow carried. During the war that year, Sumo kept it in her cosmos pouch and naturally returned it to him. Whoosh! That black coffin wasn't Lienbois, but it was definitely a top-notch venerable divine weapon. The black coffin directly appeared above the Southland Duke's head. The black coffin cast down a black shadow. Endless pressure instantly froze the Southland Duke in the air. Southland Duke, you can't escape. Refine. The desolate demon shadow's voice was like a demon, abnormally cold. At that moment, the Southland Duke's eyes flashed with fear. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, black flames soared. The Southland Duke was frozen in the air by the black coffin and couldn't break free. The black coffin's flames directly swallowed the Southland Duke. His black armor and the dragon blade in his hand were actually all swallowed by the black flames descending from the black coffin. Chi-chi. The Southland Duke's expression was ferocious. He really wanted to wave the Chelan dragon blade in his hand. However, he didn't have any strength. The desolate demon shadow's techniques were very strange. Apart from venerables, it was the nemesis of almost all the demon race. Whoosh whoosh, the black flame soared and the Southland Duke finally screamed endlessly. In the end, he even transformed into the Chelan true body, but he still couldn't break free from the black flames. In the end, the Southern Unicorn Duke was burned alive. His black armor, dragon blade, and the 3,000 black Chelants all became the desolate demon shadow's spoils of war. At the same time, Sumo's forbidden painting had already crawled all over the Chelan girl's body. The Chelan girl never thought that there would be such a technique in the infinite worlds. Those light diagrams were like maggots in the tarsal bone. At the same time, her strength was being slowly swallowed. Sumo looked at the Chelan girl and coldly smiled. Chelan girl, today I, Sumo, will use you as a sacrifice. Sumo slowly grabbed at the void with one hand. Looking again, the forbidden painting started to shrink. The Chelan girl no longer had the Lienbois to protect her. Instead, she and Sumo set up 2 layers of enchantments around her. She couldn't escape even if she had wings. She would be suppressed to death by Sumo's forbidden painting. Demon King, if you kill me, you definitely won't be able to leave the wisdom world. The Chelan girl said, I am willing to serve you as my master, how about it? He. Sumo laughed, sorry. I just came in not too long ago and have no plans to leave. I don't need a servant like you. Destroy. Sumo let out a shout, and with a boom, the forbidden map exploded. In an instant, the Chelan girl died. The Chelan needle directly fell into the cosmos sack. At the same time, 2 storage pendants fell into Sumo's hands. Chapter 816. In the Desert Star Sea. The 2 battles ended with the defeat of the Chelan clan. Demon Shadow, you are indeed powerful. Yi Wuhui praised from the demonic boat. Lady Yi, you are too kind. The desolate Demon Shadow kept the black coffin and placed the black armor and dragon blade on the demonic boat. I was able to capture them easily because they were of the demon race. However, I am afraid I am not strong enough to deal with the supremacy. You don't have to be so humble, Yi Wuhui said. With the Lienbois, you can even fight a supremacy. At this moment, Yi Wuhui saw that Sumo had killed the Chelan girl in the magic boat mirror and couldn't help but smile. Demon Shadow, let's go. Then, Yi Wuhui steered the demonic boat and headed deep into the Desert Star Sea. Behind the demonic boat, the 3,000 Black Chelan army followed closely. They were completely controlled by the desolate Demon Shadow. Demon soul slaying was an ancient secret technique of the demon race. Their souls had already been severed by the desolate Demon Shadow. It could be said that the 3,000 Black Chelan army had become his puppets. The demonic boat was in front, and the Black Chelan army was behind. Sumo gazed into the distance, a look of shock on his face, because he really didn't expect such an outcome. If it wasn't for the smile on Yi Wuhui's face, he would have thought that Yi Wuhui was escorted here by the 3,000 black Qilin. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. Yi Wuhui arrived in front of Sumo and smiled. However, this is all thanks to the demon shadow. The South Qilin Duke was killed by him. This armor, Dragon Blade, and the 3,000 black Qilin behind are the spoils of war. Oh, Sumo smiled and said, Demon Shadow, you have done a great service this time. The desolate Demon Shadow didn't reveal himself. He was still in Yi Wuhui's shadow and said, Demon Shadow, I am willing to fight for the Demon King. Sumo nodded and said, Demon Shadow, the 3,000 White Horse army of the Qilin Third Prince are also in your hands, right? That's right. The White Lin army is also under my control. As he spoke, the black shadow beneath Yi Wuji's feet moved. Whoosh, whoosh, 3,000 White Lin army soldiers appeared next to the Black Lin army. Black and white reflected each other brilliantly. The army was neat and impressive. These 6,000 undying beings were all puppets of the desolate Devil Shadow. Hee. Sumo looked at the two Qilin elites with a strange look in her eyes. Yaoying, you've done well. If you didn't kill those 3,000 black Qilins, they would be of great use. Let's bring them through the Star Desert Sea and head towards the Peacock Astral Realm. Understood, Yaoying replied. Looks like the Qilin and Peacock realms are really going to war. This time, I'm afraid I have no choice but to fight. Yi Wuhui laughed. They were all thinking the same thing. Once these two elites entered the Peacock Astral Domain, it would be considered an invasion by the Qilin clan. Whether it was true or false, no one could explain it. Roar, roar. At this moment, the Golden Qilin roared fiercely. It had personally witnessed the fall of the Qilin girl. However, it could not escape at this time. This was because it had been nailed to the void by the lotus vines. The other end of the lotus vine was still in Sumo's hand. Evil creature. Sumo looked at the Golden Qilin and sneered. The Qilin girl, a true venerable, had already been killed. What was a Qilin howling for? Looking again, the lotus vine in Sumo's hand shook violently. The lotus vine split off and turned into a long whip. Crack! The long whip whipped the Golden Qilin's body. Golden light flashed, and the howling continued. Sumo's thoughts moved, and the long whip danced continuously. In the void, crackling sounds could be heard, and electric arcs flew. At that moment, even Yi Wuhui was stunned, because the Golden Qilin was nailed to the void and could not move at all. Each of Sumo's vine whips landed solidly on its body. The Golden Qilin's body was comparable to a venerable. However, it could not withstand the whip of the lotus vine. The Golden Qilin's howl seemed to spread throughout the entire Star Desert Sea. 3,000 whips. Sumo's expression was cold as she stared at the Golden Qilin. During the first 1,000 whips, the Golden Qilin's voice was filled with unwillingness. After all, it was a divine beast. The pride in its bones was definitely not something that ordinary spirit beasts could compare to. Even when its skin was torn and its flesh was torn, it was still unyielding. During the middle 1,000 whips, the Golden Qilin was still resisting, but its voice was already extremely low. However, it was still unwilling to submit. However, it could not withstand the last 1,000 whips. That was because the last 1,000 lashes were already lashing at his soul. Sumo controlled her strength very well. Actually, she could completely destroy the Golden Qilin in one go. However, she did not. That was the effect she wanted. In the end, after the last 1,000 whips, the Golden Qilin was already covered in wounds and mottled with blood. However, Sumo did not stop at all. After the last 500 whips, the Golden Qilin was only left with a soul, but Sumo did not stop. After the last 200 whips, the Golden Qilin completely lowered its head and knelt in front of Sumo. Its soul was almost about to dissipate. It did not even have the strength to howl. Golden Qilin, submit to me and I will spare your life, Sumo said coldly. Roar, the Golden Qilin growled, but to a Qilin, it was as weak as a gossamer. Hearing Sumo's question, it nodded lightly. Only then did Sumo stop the whips. Jean Lin, I'll spare your life this time, but if there comes a day when you have second thoughts, the lotus mark on your body will make you beg for death. The pain you'll suffer will be 1,000,000 times worse than what you suffered today. Roar. The golden Qilin nodded again. Looking again, Sumo shook one hand, and the lotus vine that had penetrated deep into the Qilin's dragon horn lit up. At the same time, the lotus vines on its 4 hooves grew. I can grant you a physical rebirth, and I can make sure you are doomed eternally. Sumo's words were like an oracle. The lotus vines retracted, but some of the vines that had wrapped around the golden Qilin were rooted to the ground. Whoosh! The golden Qilin's physical body was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, the scales on its body had patterns that looked like lotus vines. There was also a lotus mark on its horn. That was the mark that Sumo had planted on its body. Roar! The golden Qilin crouched on the ground, not daring to get up. Get up! Sumo waved her hand. The golden Qilin finally stood up and obediently stood to the side. It was still beastly, but when it looked at Sumo, its eyes were full of respect and fear. It understood that this man, who was as beautiful as a demon, could make it live or die with a single thought. Now, Sumo finally turned to look at Yuluo. Yuluo was sitting cross-legged on the white dragon. She was completely meditating. It was an extremely peaceful scene. The azure sea white dragon was silent. Sumo and Yi Wuhui did not speak either. Yuluo's expression was very calm, because she knew that someone was protecting her. After a full hour, Yuluo's face had basically regained some color. She opened her eyes and saw Sumo smiling gently. So, Yuluo knelt before Sumo and said in a trembling voice, Yuluo kowtows to the demon king. Yuluo kowtowed with all her heart. At that moment, Sumo looked at Yuluo and sighed inwardly. Unfortunately, Xiao Huang was not here anymore. Otherwise, Xiao Huang and Yuluo would have been a match made in heaven. Yuluo, get up. Sumo waved her hand and sent the golden Qilin to Yuluo. This golden Qilin is for you. It will be your mount from now on. Chapter 817. Golden Qilin was definitely a divine beast. In the entire wisdom realm, only the Qilin girl had a Qilin as a mount. A Qilin mount was definitely something that could only be encountered by luck. After all, the Qilin race ruled the entire Qilin star boundary. Who would dare to use them as a mount? Moreover, the Qilin race itself had a venerable. It was more likely for them to use other demon race as a mount. And now, Sumo just gave this golden Qilin to Yuluo. Roar that golden Qilin was very obedient. Because it was beaten up badly, when it heard Sumo's words, it immediately ran towards Yuluo and knelt on the ground. Yuluo was a little surprised. This gift was not small. Why? You don't like it? Sumo smiled. No. Yuluo shook her head. Then accept it. Sumo looked at Yuluo and said, I know some things about you from Xiao Huang's memories. So, this is a gift from an elder. When Yuluo heard the 2 words, Xiao Huang, she bit her lower lip and then nodded lightly. Yuluo, thanks Senior Demon King. Then, Yuluo stood up, and the golden Qilin stood by her side. At this moment, Yuluo kept the white dragon soul. You are Yunsan's disciple? Sumo asked again. Yuluo did not hide it. There was no need to hide it in front of Sumo. Moreover, the mystic yellow umbrella and Li Mengqin song were enough to prove his identity. Then I will return this to you. Sumo patted her cosmos pouch. Again, a white light flashed, and out flew the white jade gourd. This white jade gourd was obtained by Sumo from Black Peacock, and he had not touched it. Originally, he was going to return it to Yunsan. White jade gourd. Yuluo was stunned and then pleasantly surprised. This gourd was the most important magic treasure that her master had given her. Unfortunately, this magic treasure was left in Divine Peacock Mountain. Yuluo took the gourd and bowed to Sumo. However, Sumo waved her hand and said with a smile, I'm not done yet. I'll give you this lianbua as well. The Qilin needle flew out of the cosmos sack. I've already removed the poison from this needle. However, its power is gone. You can use it according to your own situation. Sumo directly brought the Qilin needle in front of Yuro. Thank you, Senior. Yuro didn't say anything else. The 3 treasures were enough to show Sumo's attitude. This made Yuluo feel very warm. Miss Yuluo, you're a family. You don't have to be so polite, Yi Wuhui said with a smile. Yulu blushed upon hearing this, and a hint of sadness flashed through the depths of her eyes. At this moment, if only Xiao Huang was still here. Miss Yuluo, where is Yun-san? Sumo asked. I don't know. Yuro shook her head. Oh. Sumo couldn't help but be stunned. She's your master. You actually don't know where she is? Yuro smiled bitterly. Senior, you don't know. Master, she is a mysterious dragon that shows its head but not its tail. She always comes looking for me, but I don't know where she is. You didn't die back then? Sumo said. Yuro couldn't help but smile mournfully. To be more precise, I didn't die completely. Back then, the Supreme Peacock King and Fallen Star forced me to marry the Qilin Third Prince and told me that Mei Lang was dead. I resisted, but I was no match for Fallen Star. In the end, I was completely disheartened and destroyed my soul. They thought I was dead, so they buried me under Peacock Mountain. However, Master took away the remnant of my soul and used a heaven-defying method to save me. So, there was nothing in the tomb under Peacock Mountain. Yun-san saved you? What happened after that? Yes. Yuro sighed. Later, in my memory, Master seemed to have brought me to a village. Unfortunately, my memory of that village is very vague. Because I reincarnated. Reincarnated? Sumo frowned. You didn't die. Why did you reincarnate? I don't know. Yuro shook her head with a smile. Anyway, it was Master's arrangement. After I reincarnated, Master stayed by my side and taught me everything. In the end, I became a supremacy. Now, I have to return to Peacock Mountain to seek justice for myself and Mei Lang. Did Yun-san give you the oceanic white dragon's soul? Sumo asked. Yes. Yuro nodded. Master said that it was a sacred beast of the oceanic ancient flow. I didn't have the right to control its true form, so he could only give me a dragon soul. However, this dragon soul can only be used 3 times. Is Yun-san with Vast Sea? Sumo thought for a moment and suddenly asked. Vast Sea? Yuro frowned and shook her head. I've never seen a mortal venerate Vast Sea, but Master told me about him. Vast Sea and AMU are 2 bodies. Yun-san isn't with Vast Sea? Sumo asked again. Every time Master and I met, he appeared alone, Yuro said. However, I don't know about other times. However, I've never seen a mortal venerate Vast Sea. Sumo frowned. How much do you remember about that village? The village seemed to be full of mortals. Yuro frowned and thought for a moment. However, I really can't remember the details. It seems like someone erased that part of my memory. Yes. Sumo listened and finally nodded. Back then, Vast Sea said that he had become immortal. Later, Wang Yu said that someone carried his burden for him. Connecting the dots, Sumo felt that Yun-san was most likely with Vast Sea. They were the power behind Tri-Star River. However, Yuro's knowledge was limited. Yun-san didn't tell Yuro everything. He purposely didn't let her know some things. She must have her own reasons. Therefore, Sumo didn't ask any further. Yuro, you came back to Prajna to take revenge, right? Sumo said. That's right. Yuro nodded. I know that the Supreme Peacock King is no longer here. However, Xing Luo has become a venerate. The entire Peacock Astral respects her as king. Did you do everything to the Qilin clan? Yes. Yuro didn't hide anything. Back then, if the Qilin clan hadn't urged me to marry, I might not have died. At least not so quickly. Therefore, the Qilin clan is guilty. However, I heard that you killed the Qilin Third Prince? Sumo nodded. So, you want to start a war between the Qilin and the Peacock? Unfortunately, that won't be easy. Yuro understood that her actions in the Qilin Astral were not enough to start a real conflict. Miss Yuro, it's very easy now. Yi Wuhui smiled and pointed at the 6,000 Qilin army behind her. Xing Luo was stunned. That's right. Sumo smiled. Euro, I'll teach you a Tao technique. After that, we'll head to the Peacock Astral and start a war between the Qilin and Peacock Astral. Chapter 8:18. The technique? Yuluo did not know what technique Sumo was going to impart to her. When she looked again, Sumo pointed with a finger. A ray of light shot out and landed between Yuluo's brows. It was a type of inheritance. In an instant, Yuluo felt countless golden runes being injected into her mind. A secret technique had already formed in her mind. Windmill's secret technique, 1,000 illusions. It was the inheritance of 7th Senior Sister Windmill. The 1,000 illusions could change one's appearance at will. Even cultivators who were a few cultivation realms higher than one would not be able to see through one's disguise. The Peacock clan had a similar technique, but its effects could not be compared to the 1,000 illusions. Previously, when Yuluo transformed into Xing Luo, a peak martial honor cultivator would most likely be able to see through her disguise. However, the 1,000 illusions would not be seen through. Yuluo, this Tao technique can bring your transformation skills to the next level, Su Mo said. Yuluo nodded. With a thought, she instantly transformed into Xing Luo's appearance. Moreover, she seemed to have more form and spirit than before. By now, Yuluo had already guessed what Sumo was thinking. Following that, she had another thought. Whoosh! A golden light flashed on her body, and she became a Qilin girl. At that moment, Su Mo and Yi Wu Hui both scrutinized it carefully, but they did not find any flaws. Roar! The golden Qilin looked at Yuluo in a daze and could not help but growl. Although it knew that the person before it was not a Qilin girl, the Qilin girl that Yuluo transformed into was too similar. Even her aura was the same. Therefore, this low roar contained both shock and a trace of displeasure. Chi, chi, chi. In an instant, a green glow appeared on its body. Cold smoke rose from all directions as if countless green needles were stabbing into its bones. Roar, ow! The golden Qilin's eyes were filled with fear. It could not help but howl miserably. It immediately calmed its mind, and the pain from the green glow gradually disappeared. Sumo glanced at the golden Qilin and sneered. This time, the golden Qilin completely understood its situation. Now, as long as it had any other thoughts, it would immediately be devoured by the lotus seal planted by Sumo. It seems that we can enter the Peacock Astral. Yi Wu Hui laughed. And Sumo nodded. Yuluo, let's enter the Peacock Astral realm first. After making some adjustments, we can use the identity of the Qilin clan to wreak havoc in the Peacock Astral realm. However, you still need to decide on the specifics. After all, you are more familiar with the Peacock Astral. Yuluo understands. Yuluo moved and stood on the back of the golden Kirin. At that moment, she was the Qilin girl. Let's go, Sumo said. The Star Desert Sea was not a place to stay for long. Hence, they did not delay any further and flew straight to the Peacock Astral. At this time, the desolate demon Shadow had already withdrawn the 6,000 Qilin army. However, he never showed himself. Sumo and Yi Wu Hui were still on the magic boat. The golden Qilin obediently carried Yuluo on its back, not daring to have any other thoughts. Along the way, Yuluo and Yi Wu Hui gradually became familiar with each other. Yi Wu Hui had seen Xiao Huang's memories and was very touched by their story. Yuluo, on the other hand, was always a little reserved in front of Sumo. With Yi Wu Hui around, some of her anxiety was alleviated. In the end, the two of them actually called each other sisters. This was something that Sumo did not expect. In the end, he could only shake his head and smile bitterly, because from that angle, they did not seem to be sisters. However, the two of them happily decided. Yuluo insisted on calling Yi Wu Hui sister. Actually, in terms of cultivation, she was a whole realm higher than Yi Wu Hui. However, Yi Wu Hui was considered Sumo's friend. She definitely did not dare to be careless. Calling her sister seemed to mess up the seniority, but that was all she could do. Otherwise, it would be even messier. Along the way, the three of them got along well. After passing through the Star Desert Sea, They arrived at the Peacock Astral. Half a day later, they were out of the star desert sea and stood in the space-time of the Peacock Astral. At that moment, Uluo looked at the rather dazzling old world and could not help but sigh. The Peacock Astral governed 2,000 small worlds. Its core world was the divine Peacock Mountain, and the divine Peacock Mountain domain was made up of 270 stars. If one looked at the entire Peacock Astral, it would look like a peacock spreading its tail. The colors were blurry and endless like a dream. The small world adjacent to the star desert sea in the Peacock Astral was called the Southern Sparrow. It governed 13 stars. The 3 stars were in front, and the other 10 were scattered behind. The 3 stars in front were 1 big and 2 small. They were lined up 15 million miles outside the star desert sea. The Southern Sparrow star was the biggest and was in the middle. On its left and right were the Southern Sparrow 2 stars and the Southern Sparrow 3 stars. The other 10 stars were arranged according to the heavenly stems, and each had its own name. The Southern Sparrow 3 stars are the gateway to the southeast of the Peacock Astral. Once we break through here, the other 10 stars are not even worth mentioning. We can go straight through the Peacock Forest and reach the divine Peacock Mountain. The strategic significance of the Southern Sparrow star is similar to the Chilean Astral's Southern Chilean Astral, Uluo said, standing on the golden Chilean. Of course, the 3 of us can warp to divine Peacock Mountain directly. Other than the divine Peacock Mountain, there shouldn't be any venerables in the Peacock Astral. What is the Peacock Forest? Sumo asked. The Peacock Forest is a special star field in the Peacock Astral. It is made up of more than 900 small worlds and takes up nearly half of the Peacock Astral. It is the densest area of the Peacock Astral and looks like a forest. That is why it is called the Peacock Forest. It is a ring-shaped star field. We need to pass through it to reach the divine Peacock Mountain. In a sense, the Peacock Forest is a natural barrier for the divine Peacock Mountain. Cultivators above the rebirth realm can pass through the Peacock Forest. However, cultivators below the rebirth realm cannot pass through the Peacock Forest without the approval of the Peacock clan. The Peacock Forest is comparable to the Star Desert Sea. However, it is not deathly silent, but mysterious. In fact, even the Peacock clan does not have a complete grasp of the situation in the Peacock Forest. Oh, Sumo was stunned. Are there venerables in the Peacock Forest? There shouldn't be, Uluo said. However, the Peacock Forest always gives people an inexplicable sense of mystery. Rumor has it that it leads to another world. However, we can warp to it. It won't affect us. Sumo nodded thoughtfully. She did not ask about the Peacock Forest anymore and changed the topic. Was the strongest cultivator's realm in the South Sparrow Astral? In the past, the Lord of the South Sparrow Astral was guarded by a king of the Eagle clan. His realm was around the 9th level of the Eternal Realm. Today, it may still be him. The Eagle clan has an army of 300,000 cultivators to guard against the Chilean clan. At the same time, he also has 3,000 Black Eagle elites, similar to the Black Chilean army. Oh, Sumo could not help but smile. We can start with the South Sparrow Astral. Let's see if the 3,000 Black Eagle soldiers can stop the 2 Chilean elites, Uluo said. Sumo and Yi Wuhui nodded lightly. They wanted to throw the Chilean and Peacock Astral into chaos and then attack the divine Peacock Mountain. Chapter 819. Samsara of the One Treasury. Today's late update currently in progress. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 820. At the edge of the Peacock Astral, Sumo, Yulua, and Yi Wuhui found a secluded floating continent. Yulua still had some injuries and needed a rest. There was enough time. 3 days later, all preparations were complete. According to Sumo's estimates, the army of the 2 princes that the Southland Duke had gathered was separated by the Star Desert Sea. Thus, they decided to attack Southern Sparrow Star. Their goal was not to destroy Southern Sparrow Star, but to create the illusion that the Chilean race had already attacked the Peacock Astral. ambushing Southern Sparrow Star in the Star Desert. All of this was enough for the Peacock race to believe that the Chelan race wanted to invade the astral plane. In space, Yulua turned into a Chelan girl. Black clouds appeared beneath Sumo's feet. At the same time, with a thought, he transformed into the appearance of the Southern Unicorn Duke. Donning black armor and holding a dragon blade, Sumo became the real Southland Duke. Yi Wuhue flew into the universe pouch. She did not need to appear in this battle. Famine's shadow was hidden in Sumo's shadow. He could secretly command the 3,000 black Chelan soldiers. Whoosh, whoosh, Sumo and Yulua used their powers. They chose to space jump. This way, they could reach Southern Sparrow Star almost instantly. At this time, it was nighttime on Southern Sparrow Star. The universe was vast, so Southern Sparrow Star had not received any news of what had happened in the Chelan astral plane and the Star Desert Sea. Sumo's operation was a surprise attack. Southern Sparrow Star was huge. Among the stars Sumo had seen, it was second to none. Back then, the pure Earth star was only a tenth of its size. Southern Sparrow Star was a green star. It looked gloomy in the night sky. After all, only a part of the place had formation light. Sumo and Yulua stood in the outer space of Southern Sparrow Star. Yulua, how do we fight this battle? Sumo asked. Destroy Thousand Eagle Mountain, then kill a portion of the Black Eagle Army and leave the Eagle King alive. The Eagle King will definitely deal a heavy blow to the Chelan race. However, not a single member of the Peacock race will be left alive. Yulu said, none of the Peacock clan will be spared. Sumo looked at Yuluo. Leave no one alive. Yulua's voice was calm. There are no humans on the Southern Sparrow Star, only demons. All members of the Peacock race, regardless of gender or age, kill them all. All right. Sumo looked at Yuluo, and her lips curled into a smile. Such a woman was decisive in killing. If you love, you will love vigorously. If you hate, you will hate completely. Yuluo was the princess of the Peacock clan. But now, she seemed to have no feelings for the Peacock clan. There was only hatred. However, Sumo admired his stubborn character, because he himself had such a special trait. Huanger, only a woman like this is worthy of you. Sumo let out a long sigh in her heart. However, the Eagle King was still a level 9 Rebirth Realm expert. Moreover, he was already close to the peak of the Rebirth Realm and was slightly stronger than the South Unicorn Duke. Therefore, he was very calm. Eagle King. His guards were experts at the 5th level of the Eternal Realm. At this moment, they also felt the danger. Pass down my order. The Eagle King shouted, all Black Eagle Army, prepare to face the enemy. At the same time, the Eagle King's figure moved, and he led his guards out of the cave. The Black Eagle Army was the elite of the elite. The Eagle King's guards roared towards the sky, and the 3,000 Black Eagle Army soldiers instantly responded. Black clouds rose from the Thousand Eagle Mountain. Not all the 3,000 Black Eagle Army were from the Eagle clan, but they all rode on a huge black eagle. This was how the Black Eagle Army got its name. Similarly, the 3,001 lifetime Immortal Realm cultivators rode on the Black Eagles. The Black Eagles were a mutated species of the Eagle clan. Their bodies were 10 zhang long, and their wingspans were more than 20 zhang. They could not transform, so they were willing to be mounts. In terms of mobility, the 3,000 Black Eagle Army soldiers could not be compared to the Black Chelan Army. Therefore, the Black Eagle Army attacked later and actually blocked the 3,000 Black Chelan Army in the void of the inner domain. Boom! Crack! The two armies were very close to each other, and without any explanation, they instantly clashed. Who goes there? The Eagle King, wearing a black cloak, floated in the air and asked in a clear voice. Hee. Sumo appeared and laughed coldly. Southern Lin King? The Eagle King narrowed his eyes. Actually, when he saw the Black Chelan Army, he thought of the Southern Lin King. However, he was still shocked to see the Southern Lin King with his own eyes. After all, they had some dealings before. Eagle King, long time no see. Sumo pointed the Dragon Chelan blade in her hand at the Eagle King. Unfortunately, your Peacock clan bullied me too much. Sumo did not say much, because the more one spoke, the more mistakes one would make. She suddenly slashed at the Eagle King. Both of them were in the 9th level of the Eternal Realm, but the Eagle King was close to the peak. He naturally did not fear the Southern Lin King. However, he suddenly saw a female cultivator appear behind the Southern Lin King. The Qilin girl. The Eagle King's expression changed greatly. This was something she had never expected. Was the war between the two realms? Why did the Venerable One appear? The Qilin girl raised her hand and turned her chi into a blade and directly cut a black eagle soldier in half. At the same time, the golden Qilin charged at the Eagle King's left bodyguard. Roar! Bang! The left bodyguard was already locked down by the Qilin girl's pressure, so he was directly sent flying by the golden Qilin. In that instant, the Eagle King knew that the situation was serious. The war between the two realms was not impossible. Chapter 8:21. That couldn't even be considered a real battle. The golden Qilin sent the Eagle King's left guard flying, and that stage 5 rebirth realm expert never got up again. The Eagle King was frozen in the air by the Qilin girl. The other right guard was also sent flying by the golden Qilin. Sumo's Southern Lin Duke didn't move at all, and Yu Luo didn't participate in the battle. The two of them were only controlling the situation. The other forces of the Southern Sparrow Star couldn't organize in time. Moreover, there wasn't much point in organizing them. They were definitely not a match for Sumo and Yu Luo. The presence of a Venerable was absolute suppression. The 3,000 Black Eagle soldiers were the most elite force of the Southern Sparrow Star. Their mobility was also unparalleled. In a normal battle, they would be superior to the Black Qilin army. However, the shadow of desolation was hidden within the Black Qilin army. He was an existence that could come and go without a trace. A peak stage 9 rebirth realm expert was unstoppable among the one-lifetime immortal realm experts. He could kill whoever he wanted. However, the shadow of desolation didn't go all out. He sent the 3,000 Black Qilin army to attack. However, he ensured that none of the 3,000 Black Qilin army were injured. The Black Eagle army suffered heavy losses. If not for preserving their strength to deal with the Qilin army in the future, they could have annihilated the entire Black Eagle army. The Eagle King was furious, but there was nothing he could do. Yu Luo's pressure firmly suppressed him. Without Lianbo, the Eagle King couldn't do anything to Yu Luo. Yu Luo didn't want to kill him, or he would have died long ago. At the same time, Yu Luo's divine sense swept across the entire Southern Sparrow Star. There were only 300 peacocks on the entire star. Among them, the strongest was only at the one-lifetime immortal realm, and most of them were in the Black Eagle army. According to Yu Luo's plan, none of the peacocks would be left alive. Those in the Black Eagle army were naturally killed, and those on the Southern Sparrow Star were killed by Yu Luo's divine sense. Now that she was a venerable, those peacocks weren't even worth mentioning. Therefore, the battle didn't last long before Sumo and Yu Luo stopped. Eagle King, you are not of the peacock race. With your realm, you can completely establish your own realm. Why do you need to sell your life to the Peacock clan? Many of the stars in the southern Vermilion Bird starfield are under your control. I, the Qilin King, have a heart that cherishes talent. I hope that you will submit to me. The Qilin clan absolutely won't treat you unfairly. Yu Luo said, as long as you pledge allegiance, the Qilin clan will allow you to establish a world of your own, whether you listen to orders or not. The Qilin King will help you become a venerable one. What do you think? Originally, the Eagle King had been frozen, and seeing that more than half of his Black Eagle army had been lost, his heart was filled with hatred. However, when he heard what the Qilin girl said, he couldn't help but be slightly startled. He wanted to establish his own world and help him become a venerable one. These two promises would definitely move the Eagle King. Therefore, he couldn't help but focus his gaze and raise his eyebrows. But he didn't say anything. Hee, Eagle King, I came personally today to let you know the strength of my Qilin clan. The Peacock clan was not worthy of being on par with the Qilin bloodline at all. At the same time, you should understand that if I wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as flipping my palm. However, if I don't kill you, I won't annihilate your black Chilean army. I will only annihilate the peacock lineage. This can also be considered as cutting off your path of retreat. On the southern sparrow planet, the peacock clan will be wiped out. I think it will not be easy for you to explain to the divine peacock mountain. At the same time, I will give you 3 days to consider. If you have made up your mind, then send people to cross the Star Desert Sea. There are the 2 princes waiting for you there. After saying all this, Yulaw didn't stay any longer, because the show had already been done enough. Nanlin retreat. Yulaw waved her hand at Sumo. Whoosh! The 3,000 Chilean army gathered like clouds. They stood uniformly behind Sumo. Looking again, Yulaw's hands formed a seal, and instantly, a huge formation directly appeared under their feet. That was a teleportation formation. The Eagle King only felt his body relax. His shackles had already been released. The light of the formation in front of him completely dissipated. Sumo, Yulaw, and the 3,000 black Chilean army completely disappeared. At that moment, the Eagle King seemed to have had a nightmare. However, there were only 1,000 or so black eagle soldiers left in front of him, and the sky was filled with blood, proving that there had been a battle just now. Establish a world and help him become a venerable one. The Eagle King's eyes narrowed slightly. Your Highness, the 2 commanders of the Black Eagle Army called out. At this moment, they did not know what to do. Return to the mountain. The Eagle King did not say anything else, and waved his hand for the Black Eagle Army to return to the mountain. At the same time, he reached out and saved his 2 guards. Fortunately, the 2 were only seriously injured and did not die. The surprise attack on Nanke was definitely a success. Yulaw's show could be considered to have been done. At this moment, the shadow of desolation had already taken in the 3,000 black Chilean army. Yi Wuhui also reappeared. Just now, she had seen everything clearly. Yuluo, I think that the Eagle King's mind has loosened and will most likely choose to submit to the Chilean bloodline. Yi Wuhui said. Huh. Yuluo nodded. Establish a world and help him become a venerable one. These 2 points would be enough to tempt any 9th-level rebirth realm cultivator. What's more, he just took a trip to the gates of hell. Unfortunately, what awaits him outside the Star Desert Sea is the southern Chilean prince's army. Yi Wuhui smiled. The Eagle King's men will definitely be killed. 2 venerables have fallen in the Star Desert Sea. I think that once the Chilean Cloud Realm finds out, they will take revenge on the Peacock race. A great battle is coming soon. Yuluo laughed coldly. The misunderstanding between the Chilean and the Peacock race was getting deeper and deeper. Now, no one would be able to explain themselves. After all, Yuluo's Xing Luo and Chilean girl were unique existences. Who would have thought that someone else was pretending to be them? Is that the Peacock Forest? At this moment, Sumo, who was on the demonic boat, looked at the distant sky and asked. Yes, Yuluo nodded. That is the Peacock Forest. More than 900 small worlds. Looking at it from afar, it really was a forest of stars. Sumo roughly estimated that there should be more than 10,000 stars in the Peacock Forest. Senior Demon King, do we go through the Peacock Forest, or do we teleport? Yuluo turned to ask Sumo. Sumo narrowed her eyes and looked at the Peacock Forest. That world looked very bright, but it gave Sumo an indescribable feeling of oppression. Teleport. Sumo thought for a moment, then said, let's not go through that forest. Right now, the general trend has been set. It's better for us to reach Divine Peacock Mountain earlier. There's no need to complicate matters. All right, Yuluo nodded. Then, Yuluo and Sumo cast their arts at the same time and began to teleport. The golden Chilean and the demonic boat moved at almost the same time. Whoosh! Only ripples were left in the interstellar space. They were already heading straight for Divine Peacock Mountain. They continued to teleport. On the 3rd time, they went around the Peacock Forest. They did not meet with any resistance. But from the Peacock Forest came a series of soft laughter that could not be distinguished. They went over. Chapter 822. They had gone over. Unfortunately, neither Sumo nor Yuluo could hear the laughter coming from Peacock Forest. At this time, if someone could see through Peacock Forest, they would discover that there was a strange star in the depths of the cluster of stars. The star was not a circle, but a square. It looked like a small floating continent, but it was multicolored and extremely beautiful. In the middle of it was a large lake. The blue waves were vast and boundless. There was an island in the middle of the lake. On the island, immortal trees towered into the sky, flowers fragrant, and birds chirped. At this time, two cultivators were nestled on an immortal tree with a crown of several dozen li. One of them was dressed in white, the other in azure. Both cultivators were extremely beautiful, but their beauty was a neutral kind of beauty. From the outside, it was almost impossible to tell whether they were male or female. Xiao Luo was also beautiful, but Xiao Luo's beauty was more heroic. However, the two cultivators on the immortal tree were more seductive. They both wore long robes, and from their figures, they looked more like male cultivators, but the space between their eyebrows was similar to that of a woman. It was really hard to tell their gender. The white-robed cultivator had a crescent moon mark between his eyebrows, while the azure-robed cultivator had a star mark between his eyebrows. The two cultivators were nestled on a branch of the immortal tree, like a pair of lovers. Lung Yu, are we really not going to care about them? The azure-robed cultivator smiled faintly. Let them be. The white-robed Lung Yu's slender white fingers stroked the azure-robed cultivator's long hair. A few supremacies die, a few worlds are slaughtered, and they won't be able to cause any big waves. Moreover, whether it is the Demon King or that peacock, they are both the background of Fallen Mortal Town. If we interfere, we will be breaking the rules. Hee, that's true. The people of Fallen Mortal Town should not directly interfere. The azure-robed lone star nodded with a smile. Moreover, the wisdom world should be purified. It's a foul atmosphere. This peacock forest seems to be covered in dust. I don't feel comfortable looking at it. I think so too. Lung Yu looked around. If this bamboo Zen star is also covered in dust, then let's go back to the village. Leave wisdom to Lian. Leave wisdom to Lian. We won't care about these disciples and disciples. Of course. Guxing leaned his head on Lung Yu's shoulder and said with a smile, in any case, the demon clan has its own fate. I really want to go back to the village. Aren't you afraid of being lonely after returning to the village? Lung Yu smiled and said, back then, you were the one who said that you wanted to come to the lower realms to take a look. If it were up to me, the two of us would be lovey-dovey in the village. How happy would that be? The evil aura in the great wisdom realm is still too strong. If we're lonely, we'll come out again. After all, Cut Sleeve Village is where we belong. Guxing smiled. Unfortunately, there are too few people who understand us. Lung Yu shook her head and sighed. Care about them? Guxing laughed in disdain. We are not in Fallen Mortal Town. How much celestial music did they miss out on? I don't believe that Green Soul's Zither can beat us. She is a later generation, of course not. Lung Yu said with a smile. When Xiao Chun looked again, Lone Star got up from Lung Yu's embrace and sat up straight. Then, he took out a flute from his bosom. The flute was made of purple bamboo and emitted a faint glow. That was no ordinary purple bamboo. The shape was similar, but the spirit was different. Lung Yu also took out a green flute from her bosom. It was made of a special kind of jade. Its glow complemented Guxing's purple flute. At this time, night was approaching. The two looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with endless tenderness. The kind of love was so pure that it made people panic. However, I didn't think so. The sound of the flute started first, slightly low. The sound of the flute followed, gradually becoming louder. For a time, celestial music sounded all over Bamboo Zen Star. The flute and flute played together, and the celestial music floated like an ocean. It was elegant and light, quiet and distant. It was clear and melodious, singing softly. There were no decorations. It was fresh and natural. In truth, this was what Lung Yu and Guxing had always been pursuing. With this celestial music, the entire Bamboo Zen Star seemed to change. At this time, If someone were to observe the interior of Peacock Forest, they would discover that all the stars in Peacock Forest seemed to be alive. They emitted endless light. A flute song could change the world. In all the worlds, probably only Lung Yu and Gu Xing, the progenitors of the monster race, could do this. Sumo and Yu Luo barely stopped as they traveled through the stars. At this time, they had already reached the periphery of Divine Peacock Mountain World. Divine Peacock Mountain World had a total of 270 stars. As one of the 3 core star realms, although it was inferior to the Kuan Butterfly Star Ocean, it was larger than the Chilan Cloud Realm. However, the Kuan Butterfly Star Ocean was truly the #1 sea of wisdom. Although the Chilan Cloud Realm only had 36 cloud stars, it was a system of its own. In contrast, Divine Peacock Mountain World was large and empty, flashy but impractical. Among the 3 great monster races, the Peacock race was indeed the weakest. Along the way, Yuluo basically didn't speak. She looked at everything familiar in the universe, but in her heart, it was endless unfamiliarity. This unfamiliarity didn't come from sight, but from the heart. In the past, when she was saved by Yun San and reincarnated. From then on, she no longer considered herself a member of the Peacock race in her heart. The Peacock race was her enemy. This sort of paranoia had already taken root in her heart. Thus, Yuluo didn't speak along the way. She just wanted to hurry to Divine Peacock Mountain and end everything. Sumo and Yi Wuhui could sense Yuluo's emotions, but no one said anything, because they all understood this kind of emotion of hers. The closer they got to Divine Peacock Mountain, the stronger the emotion became. As the saying goes, the closer one was to one's hometown, the stronger the enmity. Divine Peacock Mountain was in the center of 270 stars. It wasn't a star, but it floated independently among the stars. This was what made Divine Peacock Mountain special. It was an independent existence. The nearest star was 300,000 kilometers away. Divine Peacock Mountain looked like a pagoda. The mountain was tall and slender, but it exuded a rainbow of colors. Beneath the pagoda was an endless continent. Rainbow light was the symbol of the Peacock race. Sumo and Yuluo concealed their auras. Therefore, even venerables couldn't detect their presence. Whoosh! With one final leap, Sumo and Yuluo landed at the foot of Divine Peacock Mountain. At that moment, Yuluo's expression finally changed. She saw her own grave. On the green stone tablet were large white words, Yuluo's grave. However, the side of the grave was overgrown with weeds. This meant that the grave's formation had long since disappeared. No one had taken care of it. It had been forgotten. The base of Divine Peacock Mountain was desolate. This desolation made one feel both pain and anger. Tears rolled down Yuluo's cheeks. She wasn't crying for herself, but for Mei Lang. She wasn't crying for the present, but for the past. Mei Lang, I'm back. Yuluo choked out. This time, you won't be shielding me from the wind and rain. I want Divine Peacock Mountain to be bathed in blood. Mei Lang, I've come to avenge you. Chapter 823. A cold wind blew gently at the foot of Peacock Mountain. Yuluo kept the golden Chilan and looked up at the mountain. She was extremely familiar with everything here. She remembered every blade of grass and tree, every day and night. That was because she had left her most beautiful memories here. At this moment, Yuluo's black dress glowed faintly. Yuluo was tall and beautiful. Her blue hair stood out from the rest of the Peacock Star Realm. In the entire Peacock Star Realm, only the Peacock Queen had blue hair. Yuluo sneered and flew into the air. They entered the Divine Peacock Mountain together. The Divine Peacock Mountain had a total of 72 peaks. The distance between each of the main peaks was several hundred miles. They formed the main body of the Divine Peacock Mountain. Among them, the first, second, and third peaks were the most conspicuous. They were located at the center of the mountain. Back then, Xiao Huang had only grown up in a remote corner at the foot of the Divine Peacock Mountain. Therefore, it could be said that Xiao Huang and Yuluo's meeting was a kind of fate. Looking down at the peaks, Yuluo's lips curved coldly again. Then, She released her aura. Just now, she and Sumo had been concealing their auras. At this moment, they suddenly dispersed. In an instant, the nearest Peacock Mountain sounded a warning at the same time. Dazzling light shot into the sky. The defensive formation of the divine Peacock Mountain was activated. It was a formation that could stop a venerable. However, the formation light could not even get within 10 feet of Yulaw. Because Yulaw was the Peacock Princess, the formations could not harm her at all. Yuluo, Sumo, and Yi Wuhue floated in the air, unharmed. Whoosh! On the mountain peak closest to them, a male cultivator flew out. He was a rebirth realm cultivator, a peacock at that, because he had the mark of the Peacock clan on his forehead. The male cultivator was slightly taken aback. At that moment, he almost thought that it was their venerable queen standing in the air. Yuluo and Xing Luo were very similar. The biggest difference between them was their gazes. In the past, Yuluo's gaze was cold, but now it was cold. Xing Luo's gaze, on the other hand, was filled with evil and fanaticism. The two sisters were completely different people. Who are you? That peacock had only entered Divine Peacock Mountain in the last 1,000,000 years, so he didn't recognize Yuluo. However, he was curious as to who this female cultivator in front of him was. The other party seemed to be a peacock too. However, he couldn't see through his opponent's cultivation. Haha. Yuluo looked at the male cultivator and asked with a smile, "You have the peacock bloodline?" "Of course." The male cultivator instinctively replied proudly. In the peacock astral, the peacock bloodline was the absolute nobility. "Very good." Yulu nodded, and then a wisp of a bright light flashed through her eyes. She also had no impression of this male cultivator. Back then, most of the reincarnation-level peacocks on Divine Peacock Mountain had been killed by Desolation Shadow. "I am the Avenger." Yulu glanced at the peacock and only said one sentence. "Who?" "Chi-Chi." When he looked again, Yuluo's hand shook. A 5-colored peacock feather turned into a ray of light and shot toward the male peacock cultivator. It was effortless for a venerable of the 3rd layer to kill a 1st-layer rebirth realm cultivator. Before the male peacock cultivator could figure out what was going on, he saw a flash of light in front of him. Then, the peacock feather pierced through his immortal heart. Even when he was killed by Yuluo, he didn't remember who the blue-haired woman in front of him was. After millions of years, Xing Luo had erased almost all traces of Yuluo from Divine Peacock Mountain. In fact, many cultivators on Divine Peacock Mountain didn't even remember or know who she was. Boom! Yuluo clenched her fist. The male peacock cultivator's body exploded, his Tao and soul extinguished. Yuluo didn't hesitate at all. Her expression and heart didn't seem to be affected at all. Everything happened naturally and according to her heart. She had waited for this moment for far too long. The death of a peacock didn't lessen her hatred at all. Instead, it aroused her killing intent. It was like a spark of starlight igniting ancient firewood. The fire burned fiercer and fiercer, surging into the sky. Yuluo's eyes glowed, but the light was as cold as ice. Whoosh! Yuluo led the way toward Divine Peacock Mountain's 2nd peak, Starfall. That was because Xing Luo's residence, Starfall Palace, was on that peak. They had to pass through dozens of peaks to reach Starfall Peak. Every mountain peak was guarded by a rebirth realm cultivator. Each peak was a checkpoint. Some of them were peacock cultivators, while others were demons. However, their cultivation levels weren't low. Everything had happened so suddenly that they didn't have time to think. Some flew into the air alone, while others brought their subordinates with them. All of them wanted to stop Yuluo. That was their first reaction. How could they not stop her when she trespassed on their mountain? Unfortunately, they didn't have the ability to stop her, nor did they have the chance to escape. Yuluo killed them all without discrimination. She didn't leave a single survivor. Her body glowed with a 5-colored light. She killed her way through, and in the blink of an eye, 11 Samsara realm cultivators had fallen. The rest of her subordinates were innumerable. It was a massacre. Yuluo's black dress was stained with blood. However, the cold light in her eyes didn't change. A thick bloody mist had appeared in the air above Divine Peacock Mountain. Everything within 1,000 miles looked like a sea of blood. Sumo and Yi Wuhue followed behind Yuluo. They didn't make a move, as long as there were no supremacies. No one could stop Yuluo. Yuluo's appearance was too sudden. It had been tens of millions of years since the Peacock clan's rise to power, but they had never encountered such a situation. It was unimaginable for a supremacy to attack Divine Peacock Mountain. That was why Divine Peacock Mountain's reaction was slow, even with the Great Formation's warning. More importantly, the three supremacies of the Peacock clan were all in seclusion. After all, the Wisdom Realm had been peaceful for millions of years without any major conflicts. Now, the strongest cultivator guarding Divine Peacock Mountain was a peak 9th level Rebirth Realm cultivator. There were a total of 3 cultivators on Divine Peacock Mountain. They were currently on the first peak of Peacock Mountain. They had been hesitant at first. Most of Divine Peacock Mountain's affairs were taken care of by others. The meaning of their existence was more of a symbol. They didn't participate in daily affairs. Moreover, all of them were doing their best to break through to the Supremacy Realm. One had to know that they had been stuck at the peak 9th level Rebirth Realm for millions of years. That was why they were in a state of semi-seclusion. At this moment, Yuluo was killing her way through 17 peaks. They were finally alarmed, because a cultivator had knocked on their cave abode. An expert had attacked. They were all shocked. Who in the entire Wisdom Realm would dare to barge into Divine Peacock Mountain? Even the Kuan Butterfly King and the Qilin King wouldn't dare to do so. However, such a thing happened. Instantly, 3 majestic auras came from the first peak of Peacock Mountain. 3 peak 9th level Rebirth Realm cultivators exerted their strength together. Their auras weren't inferior to ordinary supremacies. However, their auras couldn't suppress Yuluo's aura. They would be buried with her. Chapter 824. How difficult was the path of cultivation? No matter how talented you were, it would take a long time. Even the Izong world, a peak level 9 Rebirth Realm cultivator, was an absolute powerhouse. Out of millions of cultivators, there might not even be one. At this moment, 3 peak Rebirth Realm cultivators charged out from the first peak of Peacock Mountain. Their power was definitely not something those Rebirth Realm cultivators could compare to. They were the strongest force in the Peacock race below the Venerable Realm. 3 cultivators, 2 men and 1 woman. They were all middle-aged. The male cultivator in the middle wore a dark purple robe. He was tall and well-defined, with a pair of thin eyebrows that reached into his temples. His body was filled with a murderous aura. At the same time, there was a peacock mark between his brows. It seemed that he had a pure peacock bloodline. The female cultivator on his left wore a light yellow dress. Her dress fluttered in the air. Although she was old, she still had her charm. She held 2 blades in her hands. 2 blades, one long and one short, one wide and one narrow. One emitted white light, the other black. The male cultivator on the other side looked the youngest. He was dressed in a moon-white robe and looked cultured and elegant. He had the temperament of a scholar. However, he had an aquiline nose, his eyes flashed, and his expression was unfriendly. The 3 cultivators appeared at the same time on Peacock Mountain, their auras strong. They stopped 3 miles in front of Yuluo, 100 feet away from each other. That was a position where they could attack together. There was room for both attack and defense. The 3 peak level 9 Rebirth Realm cultivators were facing a great enemy. In reality, they were facing a great enemy. Yuluo, Sumo, and Yi Wuhue all paused in their steps. After all, the 3 peak Rebirth Realm cultivators in front of them were opponents they could barely fight. The middle-aged cultivator in the lead had already seen Yuluo's appearance clearly. At that moment, his brows twitched and his expression changed. Yuluo, Your Highness, you. The middle-aged cultivator recognized Yuluo at a glance, but he did not dare believe his eyes, because he had been cultivating on Peacock Mountain for millions of years. However, back then, he was only a sea destruction cultivator. Oh! Yuluo couldn't help but look at the middle-aged cultivator. Then she sneered, someone finally recognizes me. I thought that no one in the entire divine Peafowl Mountain would recognize me. I'm not dead. Which peacock are you from? I'm Kong Huan, and I'm from the Purple Sparrow bloodline. Kong Huan took a deep breath and bowed deeply to Yu Luo. Now, I'm under the king's orders to guard the God Mountain. Kong Huan did not know that your highness had returned to the mountain. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. Please forgive me, your highness. Your highness? Yulu couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. Kong Huan, is there really someone on divine Peafowl Mountain who respects a dead princess like me? This? Kong Huan's eyes flickered. He did not know how to answer. Where is Xing Luo? Yulu asked as she looked at Xing Luo, the second peak of Peacock Mountain. Logically speaking, fallen stars should have appeared a long time ago. Wang Zun is currently cultivating in seclusion. Kong Huan answered honestly. Seclusion? Yu Luo sneered. The Qilin race has already sent troops to the Star Desert Sea. She was actually still in seclusion? It seems that it is time for the Peacock Imperial Court to collapse. The Qilin race had sent troops to the Star Desert Sea? Kong Huan and the other two were slightly stunned by this news. Your Highness Yulu, do not spread rumors and frighten us. The white-robed male cultivator spoke. His voice was slightly cold. The Qilin race has been on good terms with us for generations. Why would they suddenly send troops to the Star Desert Sea? And who are you? Yulu asked. Bai Lian of the Flying Wolf race. The white-robed male cultivator looked at Yulu. Although he addressed her as Your Highness, there was no reverence in his eyes. Instead, there was some disdain. In fact, he could tell that Yulu and Sumo were already supremacies. However, he also knew that there were 3 supremacies on Divine Peafowl Mountain, and their realms were definitely higher than Yulu and Sumo's. In his opinion, even if Yulu and the others had some strength, they would not have an easy time on Divine Peafowl Mountain. Those reincarnation cultivators would not have died in vain. Flying Wolf King Bai Lian? In Yulu's memory, there had been such a person on Divine Peafowl Mountain. The Flying Wolf race had always been Fallen Star's trusted demon race. Yulu had heard of Bai Lian's name back then. He had once been one of Fallen Star's forces. Your Highness, you have a good memory. Bai Lian nodded. However, from what I remember, Your Highness had already committed suicide back then. Why have you returned to the Divine Mountain? Moreover, why did you start a massacre? This does not seem like something Your Highness would do. Are you going to betray the sacred mountain? Yulu sneered at Bai Lian's words. You were once Fallen Star's confidant, so you should know the truth of what happened back then. Moreover, what right do you have to question me? In Bai Lian's heart, there is only Your Majesty and no one else. Bai Lian looked at Yulu. Your Majesty's words are the truth. You killed cultivators of my Peacock dynasty. Why can't I question you? Flying Wolf King, you really are a good dog. Yulu was not angry, but she wanted to kill everything in her path. Whoosh, zzzt. When they looked again, Yuluo waved her hand. The pressure of a supremacy suddenly spread out. She shot out a 5-colored feather at Bai Lian. It was no problem for a 3rd-level supremacy to kill a peak 9th-level rebirth realm cultivator. However, Yulu's pressure did not stop Bai Lian. This was completely different from when she faced Warhawk King. This was because Bai Lian had moved. This meant that he had a top supremacy divine weapon, or even Lianbua. Otherwise, he would not be unaffected. Bai Lian's figure floated like a cloud. At the same time, he raised a hand and a gray light met the peacock feather. Boom! Crack! The gray light collided with the peacock feather, creating a sky-high airwave. The gray light dissolved Yulu's feather. Gray divine light. Yulu was slightly taken aback. Flying Wolf King, it seems that Fallen Star treats you well. Otherwise, she would not have taught you the method to break the peacock feather. Your Highness Yulu, those who betray the Divine Mountain are sentenced to death. Bai Lian sneered, then turned to Kong Huan and the yellow-dressed female cultivator. Kong Huan, Huang Ling, let's hold them off for a while. Wang Zun and the forefather will be here soon. Kong Huan had been hesitant at first. After all, he was a member of the Peacock clan. He had a natural reverence for someone with a royal bloodline like Yulu. That was why his tone had been polite. However, Bai Lian and Yulu were already fighting. Kong Huan had no choice. Everything he had was given to him by Fallen Star and the two forefathers of the Divine Mountain. Kill! Kong Huan raised an eyebrow. The killing intent on his body dissipated. When he looked again, a red and black light appeared directly above his head. Within the red and black light was an ancient bronze mirror. The mirror emitted many peacock images and red and black lights. Peacock eye. Yulu's lips curled up. It was a lianbua. Chapter 825. The eye of the peacock was formed from the first peacock king's eyes after his death. This was because the first peacock king had a very special eye technique. The eye of the peacock had 2 mirrors in total. They were 2 pieces of lianbua. At this moment, Kong Huan had only summoned one of them. Originally, they should have appeared together. Kong Huan had only summoned one of them. Perhaps he had a backup plan. However, Yuluo did not expect that a lianbua like this would appear on Kong Huan's body. As far as she could remember, there were only a few pieces of lianbua in the entire divine Peacock Mountain. After all, lianbua was a treasure that could only be refined by a lotus scholar. There were not many lianbua in the infinite realms either. However, Yuluo was not afraid. She would not have come for revenge unless she was truly capable. Moreover, she had Sumo behind her. She knew that the Demon King was definitely more powerful than she was. Whoosh! Kong Huan summoned the eye of the peacock into the air and quickly formed a seal. Light of the peacock, illuminate the world. Kong Huan shouted. Then, the ancient mirror shone with an even more intense light. The entire area seemed to be enveloped in a reddish-black light. Under the eye of the peacock, this place seemed to be a world of its own. Many of the reddish-black lights shot toward Yuluo like thousands of flying swords. However, Yuluo waved a hand. Green light shone, and an ancient umbrella appeared in the air. The mysterious yellow umbrella released thousands of rays of green light that enveloped her like ribbons. The eye of the peacock's black-red light could not penetrate the umbrella at all. However, Kong Huan, Bai Lian, and Huang Ling attacked Yi Wuhui from different directions at the same time. The eye of the peacock was only a tactic. As it floated in the air, Kong Huan and the other two did not have to worry about Yuluo's supremacy pressure. Their attacks followed immediately. The 3 attacked in unison. They knew that none of them were Yuluo's match. Only by cooperating could they put up a fight. Kong Huan's technique was a sealing technique. It was a technique that specifically targeted the peacock bloodline. Kong Huan formed a seal with both hands and bit the tip of his tongue. A drop of soul blood formation technique. A blood-red seal rose from his head and suppressed Yuluo. On top of the seal, there was a phoenix spreading its wings and about to take flight. Bai Lian's technique was still filled with endless gray light. This was because this gray light was a spell that could restrain the peacock's 5-colored holy light. In the entire divine Peafowl Mountain realm, aside from the 3 venerables, only Bai Lian could use this Dao technique. He was originally the enforcer of the entire divine Peacock Mountain, and his methods were extraordinary. Bai Lian's technique could suppress almost all peacocks of the same level. Usually, even Kong Huan had to be wary of him. Huang Ling did not cast any spell. Instead, he swung the 2 sabers in his hands. The 2 sabers, one yin and one yang, were called yin-yang blades. Those were 2 venerable divine weapons, and they were of a rather high grade. Huang Ling was the yellow bird. Her yin-yang blade was ever-changing and extremely sharp. It was said that the 72 peaks of the peacock were not formed naturally. A part of it was cleaved open by the yin-yang blade. Although they were at a disadvantage in terms of cultivation base, ordinary venerable ones would have to retreat if the 3 of them joined forces. At this moment, Yi Wuhui could not help but look at Sumo. Are we still not going to make a move? Yi Wuhui asked. Not yet. Sumo said, Yuluo should be able to handle it. You and I will be on our guard. It won't be too late to make a move if she's really in danger. If the other party uses lianbua again, have Yaoing use lianbua to deal with it. All right, Yi Wuhui nodded. Meanwhile, the forces of the other peaks of Divine Peacock Mountain were also rushing over. Gradually, thousands of cultivators gathered behind Kong Huan and the other two experts. These cultivators were at least at the first sempiternal realm. At this moment, cultivators below the first sempiternal realm had no right to watch the battle. It could be said that this was the highest level battle that Divine Peacock Mountain had seen in tens of millions of years. When they looked again, Yulua's eyes suddenly glowed red. The immortal energy in her body had completely manifested. Her blue hair danced in the wind, and her black dress billowed. She was a black peacock that harbored a myriad of grievances between heaven and earth. Boom! Kong Huan's technique was the first to descend. However, the yellow mystic umbrella had dissipated more than half of its power. Yulua pointed two fingers on her right hand upward. White light swirled around her fingertips. It was an orthodox Buddhist immortal technique. A white lotus of light appeared. At that moment, Yulua's body was plated with a layer of Buddhist light. Open. Boom. Crack. Kong Huan's blood seal was directly shattered by Yulua's technique. The sky was filled with profound light, and it engulfed a radius of 100 miles. The blood seal was useless against Yulua. Within the profound light, a gray light suddenly appeared. Bai Yin's technique was like gray sand suddenly swept into a storm, and each grain of sand contained a strange power. The gray light was indeed somewhat different. Even with the yellow mystic umbrella above Yulua's head and Buddhist light around her body, she could not help but feel her soul tremble. After all, that was the power of law. The peacock's own bloodline could not completely ignore it. However, Yulua now possessed the inheritance of Paradise Earth. Almost all of her most powerful immortal techniques came from Yun San. In an instant, a lotus appeared under her feet. With a lotus on top of her head and a lotus under her feet, the Buddhist Supreme's protective lotus was extraordinary. At the same time, Yulua waved a hand, and a white light suddenly flew out. The white jade holy gourd floated in the air. Collect! The sky full of gray light was directly collected by the white jade holy gourd. Not only that, Yulua's mind moved, and the white jade holy gourd headed straight for Bai Lian. Bai Lian's expression changed slightly. Huang Ling's saber had already arrived. In fact, everything happened almost at the same time. The white saber in front, the black saber behind. Huang Ling's posture was extremely elegant. His saber was not fast, and it even had a hint of gentleness. However, there was a faint sound of wind and thunder on the edge of the saber. All of his power was concentrated on the edge of the saber, and he did not unleash it. This time, the greatest threat to Yulua from the Three's attack was Huang Ling's saber. Yulua could not block such an attack with just her technique alone. Therefore, while blocking Kong Huan and Bai Lian, Yulua had already drawn her sword. Swoosh! The endless Buddhist light turned into a white light. At that moment, all the profound light dimmed, and only the white light pierced through the sky. Lianbua, Kong Huan, Bai Lian, and Huang Ling's expressions changed again. They knew what it meant to have a venerable who possessed Lianbua. Yulua was no longer someone they could stop. In the next instant they could die. Huang Ling's saber had already been unleashed, and there was no way to retract it. However, she gritted her teeth and simply let go. At the same time, she retreated rapidly. Crack! Boom! The endless Buddhist light and the yin-yang blade collided. The yin-yang blade was known as the sharpest blade in the Peacock Astral, but it was like rotten wood before the endless Buddhist light. Both sabers were broken by the endless Buddhist light. However, in that instant, Huang Ling had already fled hundreds of miles away. On the other side, Kong Huan and Bai Lian wanted to leave as well. However, Yulua's lips curled up, and she said coldly, Kong Huan, Bai Lian, you too must die. Whoosh! The immeasurable Buddhist light changed its direction. Huang Ling could be left alive for now, but Peacock, Flying Wolf, and Yulua had to be killed. Chapter 826. Samsara of the Ichizo will be updated later today. Currently in the middle of typing. Please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 827. None of the peacocks would be spared. That was Yu Luo's obsession. Thus, Kong Huan's fate was sealed. He was someone Yu Luo had to kill. Bai Lian, the Flying Wolf King, was Fallen Star's best friend, so he had to be killed as well. The gourd had long since attacked Bai Lian. However, Bai Lian waved his hand and summoned a ray of light. The light was a white jade disc, which was also an exalted divine weapon. The jade disc flew into the air and expanded in the wind. It hovered in the air like a white jade canopy. It was a defensive Dharma treasure. Bai Lian didn't expect it to fight the enemy. He only hoped that it could block the gourd for a while, so he could escape. He predicted that he would be saved if he could escape for a while. After all, some cultivators had already gone to invite Wang Zun and the two patriarchs. However, Bai Lian's hopes were dashed. Yu Luo's boundless Buddhist light was heading for him first. Boom! Crack! The boundless Buddhist light struck the jade disc. Although it was a supremacy weapon, it couldn't withstand the boundless Buddhist light. The Lianbua immortal sword was almost invincible. In the air, the jade disc, which had expanded to a radius of dozens of feet, was cut in half. Under the boundless Buddhist light, the jade disc was like a piece of tofu. Bai Lian's soul trembled, his face turning pale. If the jade disc couldn't block the immortal sword, his other Dharma treasures would be useless. The peacock's eye was still in the air. However, it was a Dharma treasure controlled by Kong Huan. The peacock's eye had already retreated with Kong Huan. The main mountain was protecting Kong Huan and had no time to spare for Bai Lian. Whoosh! A vicious glint flashed across Bai Lian's eyes. Then he willed it. His moon-white robe suddenly fluttered, as if it was filled with endless, immortal qi. The robe instantly turned into a cloud of mist. An escape technique. Yu Luo raised an eyebrow. That was no ordinary escape technique. However, Bai Lian couldn't escape. Zizti, boom! The boundless Buddhist light struck the cloud of mist formed by the white robe. Then, the cloud suddenly exploded, forming endless waves of qi that spread out layer by layer like clouds. The wave of air stacked in the air. In fact, the mist was extremely poisonous. If the poisonous gas were to spread, even the cultivators of divine Peafowl Mountain would suffer. It was an indiscriminate attack, and it was also Bai Lian's escape method. At this moment, in order to escape, Bai Lian could no longer care about the lives of the other cultivators. However, the white jade holy gourd floated in the air. Return, Yu Luo shouted. When he looked again, all the clouds were directly sucked into the white jade immortal gourd like rivers returning to the sea. At this moment, a giant white and gray wolf suddenly emerged from the clouds. The giant wolf was 100 feet tall and had a pair of wings on its ribs. It was extremely majestic. Flying wolf true body. For the sake of escaping, Bai Lian had actually chosen to reveal himself. Because this way, his strength would be even greater, and it would be easier for him to escape through the fog. However, Yu Luo had been watching him for a long time. She had heard of the Flying Wolf tribe's techniques. The boundless Buddhist light turned into a white rainbow again. Bai Lian really wanted to escape, but his speed was not as fast as the boundless Buddha light. Everything happened in an instant. When they looked again, Bai Lian, who had transformed into a giant wolf, suddenly turned around. He raised his two front claws as if he wanted to block the boundless Buddha light. His claws were like hooks, shining brightly. Actually, with Bai Lian's cultivation, he could kill a cultivator at the 5th or 6th stage of the rebirth realm with a slap of his claws. However, he was facing Lianbua's boundless Buddha light. The giant wolf turned around, wanting to use its claws and body to block the boundless Buddha light. However, a white light directly cut off his claws and stabbed into his chest. In fact, Bai Lian's body could even withstand a normal venerable divine weapon. However, the boundless Buddha light pierced through him effortlessly. However, at the last moment, the wolf actually bent down and bit the boundless Buddha light tightly, preventing it from piercing through. In fact, it only made the boundless Buddha light pause slightly. However, at this moment, Bai Lian's divine soul had already escaped. He could only give up on his body. Otherwise, his Tao would definitely be destroyed. His divine soul flew out, but he seemed to have forgotten about the white jade immortal gourd. Yulua shouted again, "Return!" Bai Lian's divine soul was directly absorbed by the white jade celestial gourd. At the same time, Bai Lian's divine soul exploded with a boom, turning into a bloody mist. A peak 9th stage rebirth realm expert had his divine soul and body destroyed by Yulua just like that. Although all this happened very quickly, it still took some time. Huang Ling had already disappeared, but Kong Huan did not escape. It was not that he did not want to escape, but countless blood-colored roses had appeared under his feet. Those roses had trapped his footsteps. Naturally, it was Sumo who had made a move, because he did not want to let any peacock go. Of course, Yulua could not be the only one to take revenge for Xiao Huang. Sumo had even more reasons to take revenge. However, he wanted to leave some opportunities for Yulua. Otherwise, Yulua's state of mind would not be complete. At this moment, the peacocks I was hovering above Kong Huan's head. Therefore, although those blood roses had trapped him, they could not do anything to him. Yulua naturally would not let go of this opportunity. Kong Huan, give me your life. Yulua raised her hand, sword already in hand. This time, she did not take out her sword. Instead, she moved, personally taking action. Boundless Buddhist light, 100 zhang long tail. Yulua's sword slashed at Kong Huan. The eye of the peacock was in the air, the bronze mirror suffused with black-red light. It was also a lianbua. However, Yulua did not hesitate. Kaboom! Crack! Boundless Buddhist light met the eye of the peacock. This time, it was not as easy as splitting the white jade wall. Boundless Buddhist light was clearly obstructed. Yulua also felt her arm go slightly numb. It had to be said that lianbua against lianbua, even as sharp as boundless Buddhist light, could not easily cut through the other. However, the black-red light in the sky had dissipated. Looking again, the bronze mirror in the air had been split into two, but it did not shatter. It still emitted a faint light. However, Yulua's strength did not decrease. Her wrist suddenly pressed down. At this time, Kong Huan had already been pinned in the air by Sumo's blood roses. Whoosh! Kong Huan wanted to imitate Bai Lian. In an instant, his spirit also left his body. However, Yulua did not give him the chance. She was extremely fast. Kong Huan's divine soul had only just left his body when Yulua's sword pierced through it. At the same time, boundless Buddhist light pierced through Kong Huan's body. Therefore, everything happened in an instant. At that moment, it was as if Yulua had killed two great figures at the same time. In the air, the thousands of divine peafowl mountain cultivators felt their hair stand on end. Usually, whether it was Kong Huan or Bai Lian, they were not people they could reach. They did not expect that they would die at the same time. Whoosh! In an instant, the cultivators scattered like a tide. They knew that they could not stop Yulua. However, among the cultivators, as long as they had the peafowl bloodline, a blood rose appeared under their feet. Yulua's sword was like a white snake spitting out its tongue, mercilessly cutting down all of them. In the air, a bloody mist pervaded. 5 colored feathers danced in the air. At that moment, Yulua's face showed a mournful joy. Mei Lang, I am avenging you. At that moment, 3 supremacy energies rose from the 2nd and 3rd peaks of the Peafowl Mountain. Yulua, don't be arrogant. A shout resounded through the clouds. Chapter 828. Samsara of the One Treasury will be updated later today. Currently in the middle of typing, please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.